if you bring it out. Let me up.
Yo! Pull up! Let's go! Let's go again!
Nationwide 90 FM.
Zip it up, zip it up, zip it up, zip it up.
Ready to tackle that building project? Start right. Start here at H&L Rapid True Value for building supplies. The time by H&L Rapid True Value is
Nationwide time, 5 o'clock.
Learn about smart betting strategies with AnyBet. Bet wisely, enjoy responsibly, and maximize your success. The temperature by AnyBet is
29 degrees Celsius in Kingston and Montego Bay.
From the Nationwide News Network, comprehensive, incisive, tough. This is Nationwide at 5.
Good afternoon, I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Robianne Williams.
In Nationwide News at this hour, Prime Minister Holness is calling on Jamaicans to appreciate the broader national benefits of the current declines in the country's crime rate.
And he says his administration will ensure the security forces remain accountable in their crime-fighting approach.
The police commissioner says the JCF remains undeterred in its crime fight, despite growing concerns about the increase in police fatal shootings.
These criminals act with shocking boldness, displaying a chilling disregard for life and law. We will not retreat, we will not yield.
Former Education Minister urging the current minister to press ahead in finding consensus to get the Jamaica Teaching Council bill passed into law.
The considerations that the opposition is raising, the teachers are raising, should not be brushed aside. They should be considered, but that should be done with alacrity.
The PAJ says urgent interventions are needed to stem the downward trend in Jamaica's press freedom ranking.
In news from the rest of the world, Venezuela rejects UN court order to halt election in territory under dispute with Guyana.
Evacuations in Chile and Argentina after tsunami warning.
In headline sports, Barbados Pelicans beat Jamaica Titans by 3 runs in the CWI Breakout T20 League.
And later in our broadcast, in the cover story at 5:35, Public Defender Caroline Reed Cameron is urging Jamaicans to know their constitutional and human rights and to make use of the services provided by her office. She'll join us.
In Public Opinion at 6:26, we ask, could 100 men defeat one gorilla? Give us your comments by logging on to our Facebook page, Nationwide News Network, and by tweeting us at Nationwide Radio and message us on WhatsApp at 876-285-5693. You can also leave your comments on Instagram at Nationwide 90FM.
In the nation's business at 6:40, the theme for Child's Month 2025 is Act Now, Stand Against Child Abuse and Exploitation. We'll hear from the second Vice Chair of the National Child Month Committee, Ruth Lawrence.
And at 8, it's the A-Team with Dennis Brooks.
All these and more as we take you home on air on your mobile. Nationwide 90 FM, Nationwide Radio, JM.com, and on the Nationwide app. It's available on the Google Play and the App Store. This Friday afternoon, it's Friday, May 2, 2025.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
And now to the details. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness has called on Jamaicans to appreciate what he says are the broader national benefits in the current declines in the country's crime rate. According to Dr. Holness, the government's security strategy is also aimed at reducing the cost of living and securing economic opportunities for Jamaicans. In a media release on Friday, the Prime Minister noted that insecurity adds to the cost of living of every citizen. He says the cost of investments businesses have to make in security drives up operational costs that are then passed on to consumers. The Prime Minister is urging Jamaicans not to view crime reduction simply as a matter of community safety, but also as a key driver of economic growth. The country is projected to record fewer than 1,000 murders in 2025. If achieved, it would be the first time homicides in Jamaica have dipped below the 1,000 mark in more than 2 decades. According to Dr. Holness, if this milestone is achieved, a powerful signal will be sent to the business community and to the rest of the world that Jamaica is serious about societal transformation. He says it will signal that the country is not just a tourism destination, but also a productive and secure environment in which businesses can operate and thrive.
Meanwhile, Dr. Holness is seeking to assure Jamaicans that his administration will ensure the security forces remain accountable in their crime-fighting approach. He's reacting to recent concerns raised over the increase in police fatal shootings, which have gone up year over year since 2021. While lauding the significant reduction in major crimes in the country, Dr. Holness says the government's strategy properly balances proper respect for the rule of law and human rights. Mahiri Stewart tells us more.
The Prime Minister's remarks come in the context of newly released crime statistics showing an 18% overall decline in major crimes. This includes a 36.6% drop in murders, a 30% decrease in shootings, a 47% reduction in reported rape, and a 4% fall in robberies as of April 30, 2025. Despite these improvements, concerns have been growing over the use of deadly force by members of the JCF. Jamaicans for Justice, JFJ, staged a protest this week, highlighting what it described as a troubling increase in police fatal shootings. In a seeming response to these concerns, Prime Minister Holness stated that while his administration is committed to confronting violent criminals, it will not condone abuses of power by state forces. Dr. Holness says his administration will never sit by and allow state forces to act in a way that wantonly abuses the rights of our citizens. He says the government will continue on the path to reduce crime and violence by dealing appropriately with those criminals who challenge the state whilst maintaining respect for human rights. Prime Minister Holness acknowledged that while police operations have become more tactical and effective, internal accountability must match operational progress. He also directed the JCF to expand community policing initiatives, reinforce professional standards, and promote a culture of fairness. In a video address on Friday, Police Commissioner Dr. Kevin Blake all but called JFJ by name when he criticized those he believes are attacking the professionalism of the JCF.
Still, we are aware that even as we make gains, there are those who seek to sow seeds of discord and mistrust, who try to paint our officers as anything but the professionals they are. Let me be clear. We are a disciplined, modern law enforcement agency with a constitutional mandate to serve and protect all Jamaicans without fear, favor, or ill will. We stand each day between you, the people we swore to protect, and the ruthless criminals who murder our sons and daughters, terrorize our communities, killing even women and children, and threaten our very way of life.
Dr. Blake says the police force remains undeterred in its fight against crime.
These criminals act with shocking boldness, often recording and sharing their crimes on social media, displaying a chilling disregard for life and law. So should it surprise anyone that these same criminals who murder at will turn their weapons on members of the security forces? Let me reassure you, we are undeterred. We will not retreat. We will not yield. The safety and security of the Jamaican people remain our mission, our duty, and our commitment. Thank you for your continued support. Together, we will build the safe, secure, and just Jamaica that we all deserve.
But Prime Minister Holness concluded by reiterating the government's resolve to reduce crime in a lawful and sustainable way. He says this entails ensuring that the security operations not only tackle criminal threats, but also uphold the safety, dignity, and rights of every Jamaican. Mahiri Stewart for Nationwide News.
Former Education Minister Reverend Ronald Thwaites is urging the current Minister Dr. Dana Morris Dixon to press ahead in finding consensus and get the Jamaica Teaching Council bill passed into law. The bill has faced criticism from the parliamentary opposition and the country's main teachers' union, the JTA. The Principals and Vice Principals Association has also raised concerns. Reverend Thwaites says those concerns should be addressed as a matter of urgency.
I think the considerations that the opposition is raising, the teachers are raising, should not be brushed aside. They should be considered, but they should be done. That should be done with alacrity, gentlemen. Mm-hmm. We can't be fiddling when Rome is burning, if to borrow that cliche.
The former minister was speaking on Nationwide this morning on Friday. The Jamaica Teaching Council bill has languished in the legislative process for more than 2 decades. At least 6 former education ministers have tried to get the bill passed into law. Thwaites, who served as education minister during the Simpson-Miller administration of 2012 to 2016, says the delays have primarily been due to constant consultations, refining and adjustments. But he says the passage of the bill should be the top priority of all education stakeholders. The former minister says the country's education system is failing its students.
There will be no growth in Jamaica. There will be no sustained antidote to crime. There will be no peace and justice in this country if we continue to graduate illiterates and continue the moral flick of conning children and parents and ourselves to believe that just because they can go through school on an escalator of failure, that somehow we are achieving something good.
Reverend Ronald Thwaites, the former Minister of Education.
Meanwhile, Reverend Thwaites says while he regrets his prior use of the term Lego beasts to describe some of the nation's children, he has been proven right in the substance of his criticism.
Look, in substance, yes, it was a crude and inelegant comment at the time, and it didn't serve the purpose that I would have wanted. So I'm happy to resolve from that. But you come with me into the ambit of any school, many schools, not all, many schools, primary, secondary, and look at the amount of teaching and learning time that we're wasting just in keeping order. Look at the level of absenteeism. Look at the level of poor discipline. Look at the absolute inefficacy of the code in terms of any kind of discipline.
Nearly a decade ago, Thwaites, while serving as education minister, referred to some students as beasts amid an upsurge in violence and indiscipline in the nation's schools. His comments were widely condemned at the time, but the former minister says he was responding to the breakdown of order in schools across the country.
If you don't have order, you can't have learning, gentlemen. And that is, when we forget that or refuse to deal with it, we are sanctifying ourselves. That's a pretty wrong thing to do, don't you think?
Reverend Ronald Thwaites.
The Press Association of Jamaica, the PAJ, says urgent interventions are needed to stem the downward trend of Jamaica's ranking in the World Press Freedom Index. Jamaica dropped 2 spots in the latest rankings published by Reporters Without Borders, RSF. The country now ranks 26th of 180 countries. That's down from 24 last year. Colicia Wright reports.
According to Reporters Without Borders, RSF, freedom of the press has continued to improve in Jamaica over the past 2 decades. In its latest ranking, Jamaica placed second in the Caribbean. The top spot went to Trinidad and Tobago, which ranked 19 out of the 180 countries. The PAJ says it's concerned about Jamaica's decline to 26 in the Press Freedom Index. According to the association, the downward trend is a wake-up call that should not be ignored. The PAJ says Jamaica's decline over the last 5 years calls for urgent interventions to preserve the gains made in press freedom. In its findings, the RSF says there is a growing gulf of distrust between government officials and the media in the country. It notes that this factor has contributed to a decline in institutional respect for press freedom. The PAJ further states that a major structural weakness affecting press freedom in Jamaica is the failure to update the Access to Information Act. It says for years, the PAJ and civil society have called for a revised law that reflects the current digital age, limits bureaucratic delay, and removes excessive exemptions. However, the association says the review remains stalled. The PAJ is urging the government to expedite the tabling and debate of the revised ATI legislation and commit to reducing turnaround times on ATI requests. It's also calling for the government to introduce sanctions for unjustified refusals or delays. The PAJ says the concentration of media ownership, heavy reliance on advertising from state and private entities, and a rise of politically affiliated online voices all distort the information landscape. It's calling for greater transparency in state advertising allocation, support for sustainable, independent journalism, and continued education on media literacy and press freedom. Khaleesi Wright for Nationwide News.
You're listening to the news on Nationwide at 5. We'll have more after these.
Celebrate 26 years with IQ Optical. Enjoy 26% off your prescription eyewear and sunglasses this month only. Book your appointment or take your prescription to IQ Optical in New Kingston, Manor Park, or Drexel. Conditions apply. The time by IQ Optical is...
It's 14 minutes after 5.
Rentokil Initial offers air purification solutions with triple filtration and unique auto-sensing capabilities that neutralizes malodor and replaces it with clean air. Call Rentokil Initial at 926-4236 for more details.
The temperature by Rentokil is
29 degrees Celsius in Kingston and Montego Bay.
Don't fall victim to deepfakes.
Watch out.
Protect yourself.
What is the
For more
on TV?
information, visit broadcastingcommission.org or
Here ya,
scan
baby.
the QR code on screen.
Deepfake. No deepfake can't catch me.
Junior, you know say AI can make something will look and sound just like you? One day Junior get a voice note from her granny. Say the food done, the medication done, and she need money urgently.
Need money urgently? But Miss Pat no like ask people for things.
And as so comes, Judy get suspicious.
So what she do?
She asks the neighbor to go check pan her. Junior, the lady quite alright over there make her Sunday dinner.
So the voice note a deepfake?
Yes, my love. Come, your food ready.
Right now it look like we have to outsmart the AI. But wait, I really want dege dumpling you give me.
Me I wonder if AI can make one deep fake dumpling for you.
To learn more about deepfakes, visit www.broadcastingcommission.org.
Continuing the news, murder-accused Constable Noel Maitland is scheduled to return to court next Monday, May 5, as the special measures hearing continues. Prosecutors have requested that 3 of their witnesses be allowed to give testimony from overseas, citing special measures provisions. Justice Leighton Pusey is expected to rule on the application next Thursday, ahead of the anticipated start of the trial. Maitland is charged with the 2022 murder of his girlfriend, social media influencer Donnelly Donaldson. He also faces a charge of preventing the lawful burial of a corpse. Donaldson was reportedly missing on July 13, 2022. Although her body has never been recovered, investigators believe she was killed on July 12, 2022. She was last seen at Maitland's apartment. Maitland, who has been in custody since July 27, 2022, continues to maintain his innocence.
5 men charged in connection with a multi-billion-dollar cocaine bust in Havendale, St. Andrew last year are set to return to court next Tuesday, May 6. They appeared in the Supreme Court on Friday for a case management hearing. The accused are 72-year-old Junior Haldane, 57-year-old Clive Davis, 58-year-old Colin Ricketts, 51-year-old Aubrey Sterling, and 42-year-old Clayton Peart. Haldane and Sterling are currently out on bail. At the upcoming hearing, a date is expected to be set for a bail application for the other accused men, along with a trial date. The prosecution advised the court that the case file is now complete. The men were arrested on August 6, 2024, during an anti-narcotics operation in Havendale. Security forces reportedly seized several knitted bags believed to contain cocaine. The police say the substance weighed more than 2,500 kilograms. The substance carried an estimated street value of nearly $76 million or 12 billion Jamaican dollars. At the time, law enforcement officials described the seizure as the largest drug bust in Jamaica's history.
Transport Minister Darrell Vaz says the 100 new buses set to be added to the fleet of the Jamaica Urban Transit Company, JUTC, are set to be shipped this month. Minister Vaz posted videos on his social media platforms of the buses being constructed in preparation for their shipment to Jamaica. He told Nationwide News that buses are expected to arrive in Jamaica by July.
You will recall that at the end of 2024, I had announced the procurement of the second 100 set of JUTC buses. You would see pictures being circulated on social media of the buses that are now in the final stages of preparation for shipment, which will be in May to get here by the end of June, first week of July for the back to school September morning. These buses will continue to strengthen existing routes in terms of efficiency and also new routes with the expansion of the infrastructure, road infrastructure.
Minister Vaz says staff from the JUTC are examining the buses before they are shipped.
So we look forward to this. It was a commitment the government made through me, and we are living up to that. So you will see the pictures circulating. The JUTC representatives left the island yesterday to go and do a in-person inspection to sign off so that the buses can be shipped in the month of May. So again, commitment made, commitment kept. We look forward to seeing and realizing the improvements of the transportation system.
Darrell Vaz, Minister of Transport.
World in a Minute is brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
The World in a Minute.
Venezuela on Friday rejected an order by the United Nations top court to halt elections in the disputed Essequibo region. Both Guyana and Venezuela claim the region as their own. The Nicolas Maduro government says it will not refrain from holding elections for officials who supposedly would oversee the resource-rich region. In a statement, the government underscored its historical position to not recognize the jurisdiction of the International Court of Justice. It also asserted that international law does not allow the body to interfere or attempt to prohibit an election. The statement came a day after the court based in The Hague issued the ruling at the request of Guyana. Guyana has accused Venezuela of violating an earlier order by planning to hold elections on May 25 for a governor and other officials to administer the Essequibo region.
Coastal areas of Chile and Argentina were evacuated after Chilean authorities issued a tsunami warning following a 7.4 magnitude earthquake off the country's southern coast. Thousands of people made their way to higher ground after the earthquake struck in the Drake Passage between Cape Horn on the southern tip of South America and Antarctica Friday afternoon. The tsunami warning was issued for Chile's remote Magallanes region and the Chilean Antarctic Territory. Precautionary measures also taken in Argentina's Tierra del Fuego region. The U.S. Geological Survey says the epicenter of the tremor was 136 miles from Ushuaia, Argentina, the world's most southerly city. It struck at a shallow depth of 6 miles. There were no immediate reports of damage or injuries.
World in a Minute was brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
Recapping the top stories making nationwide news at this hour, Prime Minister Dr. Holness is calling on Jamaicans to appreciate the broader national benefits of the current declines in crime.
And he says his administration will ensure the security forces remain accountable in their crime-fighting approach.
The police commissioner says the JCF remains undeterred in its crime fight, despite growing concerns about the increase in police fatal shootings.
Former Education Minister Ronald Thwaites urging the current minister to press ahead in finding consensus and get the Jamaica Teaching Council bill passed into law.
And the PAJ wants urgent interventions to stem the downward trend in Jamaica's press freedom ranking. I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Robianne Williams.
You can find the news on our website at nationwideradiojm.com and on the Nationwide app. It's available on the Google Play and the App Store. News next, the headlines at 6.
Not a mercy. This one is very classic, dedicated to all the schoolers who are taking beats.
If you've ever struggled to pass an exam, then you'll know that students today are under great pressure to get good grades and secure qualification needed to move on to higher education. The problem is that too many students are struggling alone and could really benefit from connecting with hardworking teachers and other bright students in other parts of the country and the region. Join me, Dennis Brooks, this and every Friday evening from 8 to 9, with a repeat on Saturday morning from 8 to 9. For the A-Team, a study group on radio, my team of teachers, students, and experts will break down the syllabus, giving you information, tips, and past paper questions that will help you get top grades in your upcoming exams. Follow us on Facebook Live and on Twitter and be a part of the community. It's the A-Team, Fridays at 8 p.m. with a repeat at 8 o'clock on Saturday morning. It's your free extra class on radio and social media. And it's right here on Nationwide 90 FM, the revolution in media.
Sports at 5 is brought to you by Total Tools. They almost always have it.
Good afternoon, with your sports report. I am Alrix Wibby. We start with track and field as world champion Daniel Williams and Tokyo Olympic gold medalist Hansa Parchment are among 9 Jamaicans down to compete at the second stop on the Wonder Diamond League circuit in Shanghai, China on Saturday. Williams will run in the women's 100 meters hurdles. She should get some challenge from world record holder Toby Amerson of Nigeria, Divine Charlton of the Bahamas, and the USA's Nia Ali. Meanwhile, Parchment will contest the 110 meters hurdles. He'll be joined by countrymen Rashid Broadbell and Orlando Bennett. Paris Olympic silver medalist Kishane Thompson and Rowan Watson will line up in the men's 100 meters. The women's 800 meters will feature Natalia Gould-Toppin. Danielle Thomas-Dodd will line up in the women's shot put, and Jordan Scott will be Jamaica's standard bearer in the men's triple jump. Now to cricket, as Jamaica Titans suffered a 3-runs defeat against Barbados Pelicans in the Cricket West Indies Breakout T20 League at the Brian Lara Academy today. Chasing 156 to win, the Titans made 152 for 7 off their 20 overs. Jordan Johnson made 34 and Leroy Lugg 27. Earlier, the Pelicans made 155 for 7 off their 20 overs. Sakiri Paris led the batting with 41, Kadeem Allen made 38 and Joshua Bishop 25 not out. This was the Titans' second consecutive defeat and third overall. Meanwhile, Trinidad and Tobago Legions and Leeward Islands Thunder will meet in a top-of-the-table clash at 6 p.m. The Legions top the table with 24, while the Thunder are on 14 in second. 26 schools from across Western Jamaica who are a part of the Cricket Intervention Program, CIP, receive cricket kits from the JCA and Minister of Sports on Thursday. CIP provide the students with an opportunity to learn through play. Minister of Sports Oliver Grains says the program offers much more than just the thrill of competition.
You learn lessons that will serve you throughout your lives. Lessons like the patience of a batter who must wait for the right delivery, the strategic thinking of a captain positioning the fielders, the precision and discipline of bowlers perfecting their technique, and the resilience to face a challenging pitch or a formidable opponent.
Minister Grain says these skills translate directly into academic success and personal growth.
The concentration developed while batting for long periods transfers to focusing on challenging subjects. The analytical thinking required for field placements become problem-solving ability in mathematics and science.
Minister of Sports Oliver Grains. Now to footballers champions, Fraser's Whip will seek to maintain their 100% win record when they take on Arnett Gardens in the Jamaica Women's Premier League at Excelsior Highfield on Saturday. Fraser's Whip lead the standings with 24 points from 8 starts, while Arnett sit at third with 19 points. Meanwhile, Cavalier will seek to return to winning ways when they travel to Jarrett Park for their match against Real Mobay. In other fixtures, Springer United face Proven Girls at Cornwall College, Federal United play UWI Women at Prison Oval, and Wi-Fi United tussle with Mile Gully at Carter Park. All matches start at 3:30. And finally, Kevin De Bruyne marked his penultimate Etihad appearance by scoring the only goal to clinch a hard-fought 1-0 win over Wolves and so move City up into third in the English Premier League and a step closer to a Champions League spot. The Belgian, who will leave City this summer after a decade's wonderful service, struck on 35 minutes.
Feeding Doku, dancing his way through, trying to set up De Bruyne, and he's managed that. Kevin De Bruyne with the breakthrough, tinged with just the wonder as to whether it's his last for City here.
In tomorrow's other fixtures, Aston Villa play Fulham, Everton host Ipswich Town, Leicester City are at home to Southampton, and Arsenal welcome Bournemouth. I'm Alric Swiby, and that's your sports.
Sports at 5 was brought to you by Total Tools. They almost always have it.
Suzuki, I give you deals on deals. So here's the deal. Purchase a Suzuki XL7 Jimny 5-door Bronx or Grand Vitara from as low as $4.89 million and enjoy huge savings of up to $500,000 off on select models. Plus 5 years warranty, free vehicle tracking, and 2 years free scheduled servicing. No, that's a deal. Offer valid at Stewart's Automotive Group, Southgate Road, Kingston, and Iron Trauma Bay. Stop by for a test drive. Follow Suzuki Jamaica for more details. Conditions apply. Suzuki, I give you deals on deals.
Taxi drivers, are you ready to earn more? Join Amber on Time and keep 100% of your fares in the first month. No commission, no catch. Plus, in your second month, we'll install a free vehicle tracker to help keep you and your car safe. Stolen vehicle recovery and panic button response are also on us. And guess what? On May 3rd and 4th, come to 13 Haining Road. Snacks and drinks are on us. Come link up, ask questions, sign up on the spot, and level up with Amber on Time, Jamaica's taxi app built just for you.
Plug into the sun with Peak Energy Solutions. We are your affordable provider for everything solar. Grid tie or off-grid solar P systems, solar air conditioners, panels, lithium batteries, solar supplies, and installation. Visit us at Shop 1, 3 Mosquito Valley Road, Red Hills, St. Andrew. Call 876-279-8820 or 944-0668. Or email us at peakenergysolutionsja@gmail.com. Peak Energy for everything solar.
If it's in the public's interest, it's the nation's business during Nationwide at 5. The nation's business is...
It's undeniable that we should be together.
The true beauty of music is that it connects people. It carries a message. It speaks to you. It changes you. And that's exactly what we do just for you every Sunday as we take you to Urban Paradise, 9:10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Urban Paradise is our weekly musical journey that will serve up 110 glorious minutes of positive storytelling through music, mixed in with inspirational features to provoke thought and to heal the soul.
Like a dream come true, just wanna be with you.
So join me, Diane Ashton Smith, this and every Sunday, 9:10 a.m. to 11 a.m. here on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media. Urban Paradise, opening our hearts, connecting to others.
Come into the parlor, there's a welcome there for you.
Welcome to the Mayor's Parlor with Desmond McKenzie.
From 1 to 6 p.m. every Sunday, you'll now get more of your favorite vintage music.
Put your head on my shoulder.
Nationwide 90 FM will transform your Sunday into a musical time machine that will take you way back.
Come on, let's go back in time.
This magic moment.
Journey into yesteryear with Desmond McKenzie in the Mayor's Parlor.
I've got the music to jog your memory and make you smile.
Put your sweet lips a little closer to the phone.
Sit back, relax, and enjoy the best in vintage music.
Come into the Mayor's Parlor every Sunday between 1 and 6 p.m. here on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
Exciting news! The design
design studio nationwide 90 FM just got a whole lot bigger. Join us this and every Saturday now from 1 to 3 p.m. for an exclusive show that elevates your home, mind, and soul. Discover the latest interior design trends to create your dream sanctuary. Unlock your true potential with personal growth strategies. Nourish your body and spirit with expert wellness tips. Don't miss out on the inspiration you need to live your best life. Tune in to the Design Studio this and every Saturday from 1 to 3 p.m. and take the first step towards a more fulfilling you.
Make me sweat, make me harder.
Good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for joining us for another edition of Hopeful Friday. We're keeping that by the way.
We're keeping Hopeful Friday.
We absolutely
I'm
are.
back, guys, yes.
I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Donna Hope.
And in the cover story this afternoon, we're turning our attention to the matter of human rights because the public defender is urging Jamaicans to know their rights. The public defender, Caroline Reed Cameron, she's urging Jamaicans to know their constitution and human rights. She's also urging citizens to make use of the services provided by our office to safeguard those rights.
Mrs. Reed Cameron made the call while addressing a Jamaica Information Service JIS think tank recently. She says many persons are not aware of their rights.
The Office of the Public Defender was established on April 16, 2000 when the Public Defender Interim Act was assented to, empowering the office to treat with the rights of citizens when there are breaches of contemplated breaches.
Mrs. Reed Cameron says legislation mandates the office to address breaches of rights and issues of maladministration. She says the work carried out by the office plays a critical role in investigating and supporting matters brought to its attention.
The office seeks redress for constitutional and administrative injustices and provides legal counsel where necessary, ensuring fair trials and access to justice for all. Mrs. Reed Cameron joins us now. Good afternoon, Public Defender.
Good afternoon, Mrs. Reed Cameron. Welcome.
Hello, Dr. Hope and Mr. Brooks. I got that right?
Yes, yes. Thank you. Yes, welcome.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes.
Let me ask you, first of all, Mrs. Reed Cameron, to what do you attribute the fact that so many Jamaicans do not understand their rights?
I suspect, and this is just my opinion, personal opinion, that it comes as a result of the fact that we are not a reading nation. Would you believe that even persons who are educated, have gone to university, for example, unless it's a situation where they have studied law.
Or politics.
Yes. You got that right.
Yes.
They don't read the Constitution and have no idea about Chapter 3, the Charter of Rights and Fundamental Freedom.
But Mrs. Reed Cameron, is it that Jamaicans are probably a little unaware of where to get a copy of the Constitution and or how to understand the kind of language in which the Constitution is coined? Because there are questions usually around those two issues. Where do they get a copy of the Constitution? How is it available?
If you go online, Ministry of Justice, for example, you can access a copy. If you go to any ordinary bookstore, you can get a copy. They used to have a place on Duke Street which was called Government Printing Office. I don't know what it's called now.
Yes.
You can get a copy, just like how you can get any other legislation or access to any other legislation. You can get access to a copy of your Constitution, of which the Charter of Fundamental Rights and Freedoms is only but a small part.
Mm-hmm. I want to pick up on that point Professor Hope made about the language.
Yes.
Because the average Jamaican, Mrs. Reed Cameron, may not readily be able to understand the language. I mean, I sometimes struggle with it. Sometimes when I'm reading sections or clauses, I have to read it 3-4 times to make sure I understand it. Do you think we've done enough as a country to make that supreme law accessible in terms of language to our people?
Maybe not. I will agree that the language in which it is written is formal, but in my time, we used to do a course called civics.
Yes.
You remember that? Dr.
Yes, I did it.
Things like this were addressed in civics class. if it is a situation where persons were imparting information, reading the document to students, for example, at that age and stage in school, just maybe it would be a little more familiar and digestible.
But Mrs. Reed Cameron, I'm attending primary school and doing civics, but also going to the university and doing politics. We were encouraged, and my mother read a lot, so we were encouraged to go down. They said, go down to Duke Street to the government printing office at that time and buy a copy. This was before the internet was widespread. Is this something that, and I think Ricardo is building on that point, that there has to be something maybe coming from your office because the Charter of Rights is involved, or from the GIS or some other entity, somewhere that Jamaicans need to be encouraged to access the Constitution, access the Charter of Rights by some entity that is, providing them with the understanding of how valuable it is. Is this something that needs to be done more in this era, particularly since civics is no longer on the books?
You have hit the nail on the head. I quite agree with you, and I do believe that it is a part of the mandate that we have.
Yes.
And in fact, we have been trying in our, limited way to entreat with that particular issue. We go into school, we introduce the concept to them. I lecture, I train justices of the peace, for example. I introduce the concept to them. And every opportunity that we get in which we interact with citizens of this country, we use the opportunity to educate and to expose.
And what has the response? And what has the response been like? What's the uptake? Numbers. Is there anything that has been quantified as to how many persons the Office of the Public Defender has been able to reach in this kind of thrust?
No. The short answer is no. But take for example, we were in just last year 37 schools doing reaching out to students and teachers in that way. We actually had town hall meetings in which we participated and entreated them to read and introduce them to the concepts that were in the Charter of Fundamental Rights and Freedom. But no, I cannot say to you that last year I did speak with 1,000 students or, but we have been.
Yeah. Yes. And I was thinking as I listened to your answer to Professor Hope, in terms of just the scale of the undertaking, surely that's going to be an expensive endeavor. And I wondered in terms of budgetary support, are you satisfied with the level of budgetary support given to the office, not only in terms of money, but in terms of human manpower? Do you have enough, you think, to properly read the mandate?
Is that we need more. But that is not to say that what we have asked for, we have not received. Some of the projects that we have undertaken, of course, all of them have been funded by government, the government purse.
Yes.
But the long and short of it is that if we are to engage, for example, in what you have identified as an issue, public education, this is something that would need so much more financing, and I guess it is a situation where we would have to structure a proper budget that would meet the needs of the objectives that we want to achieve.
Be a public defender, because in particularly in this era in which we live, and we you'll see on social media in particular, Jamaicans at home and on the abroad as well, complaining about what they see as a breach of someone's rights, and many times they will also invoke what they know from the United States of America, because they seem to know more about that particular constitution and what is embedded in it than they seem to know about here in Jamaica. And so is it that there's also an opportunity for your office to engage through social media, which is a little probably less costly but has a lot of reach with the public?
You are correct. In fact, I was just saying to certain members of staff that social media will afford us an opportunity to identify some of the issues that persons are identifying as their issues.
Yes.
And would make us a lot more sensitive to the needs. Yes, I agree with you. We had an issue for some time as it relates to our social media platforms, our website, our Instagram,
Yes.
and our Facebook, and the management of and efficiency of those platforms. And I am hoping that I have managed to address that at this point in time, because we have been engaged in a process of expanding the office, the cadre of persons that are here, and we actually got a post and filled the post with a body who would more or less engage with the social media platform and so on. So yes, we can now have a more structured approach. It is certainly, even if it doesn't meet all the needs that there are, it certainly will go a long way in addressing some of the shortfalls.
And we have to go for a break, Mrs. Reed Cameron, talking with the public defender. When you get back, you need to tell us, of course, what are your social media handles, but we need to take a break and come right back. Please stay with us.
The temperature brought to you by Bird Shack Fried Chicken.
Burrata! Buy a 3-piece hat-trick meal and get an extra piece free for a limited time only is
28 degrees Celsius here in Kingston, 29 out west in Montego Bay.
Every day, we use our feet to walk, run, and take us to amazing places. But your feet can do something even more amazing. A simple step can change a life. Join Guardian Group's Shine 5K Night Run, formerly the Keep It Alive 5K, and make us try to support the Noel Holmes Hospital, the Bustamante Hospital for Children, and Project Star. Saturday, May 10 in Kingston and Saturday, May 24 in Montego Bay. New name, but same epic vibe. Register today at run2shineja.com or runningeventsja.com and see you at Shine 2025.
Thank you so much for staying with us here on Nationwide at 5. It's the cover story, and we're talking human and constitutional rights with the public defender, because she's concerned that not enough Jamaicans know their constitutional and human rights. And Mrs. Reed Cameron, we have an active YouTube platform, and they're actually making suggestions already about how outreach can be done. One is suggesting the use of AI.
Toward a couple of them, more than one, suggesting AI.
To spread the message of what's in the Constitution.
Hey, that's actually an excellent idea.
Yeah. Yes. So I want to go now to how you actually help Jamaicans. So let's say I have an issue, with a state agency. Do I just come in and make a complaint and you take it over and I don't have to pay? How are Jamaicans actually represented by the office?
Ricardo Brooks, are you sure you haven't read our legislation? You just said that so easily.
I have a good producer.
Yes.
Well, that is actually what happened.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Often let me start off by saying that often we are confused by virtue of the name with that same, the body with that same name in the United States and what we see on television, the public defender.
Yes.
We are not the same creatures at all. The one in the United States more or less operates like how the Legal Aid Council here in Jamaica would operate, where persons are charged with criminal offenses and they need attorneys to represent them, usually pro bono, in court. Here in Jamaica, that's not what the public defender does. The public defender treats with what is called maladministration or injustice that has been meted out to the citizens by virtue of the actions of a state agency, whether it be a ministry, a government department, or some company in which the government holds a 51% majority shareholding.
Oh.
So it has to be 51%.
So it has to be majority. Oh.
Like the National Water
Commission. The Water Commission.
Like the one
yes.
entity and so on.
But JPS doesn't fall under that.
No.
Not anymore.
JPS does not anymore.
Interesting.
In addition to that, we also treat with circumstances where the state breaches the constitutional rights of persons who are certainly entitled under their Charter of Rights to certain things. Once there is a breach or there is a pending breach or something like that, they can come to us and we help them in treating with it. And the legislation goes so far as to say that in circumstances where they have these breaches, that we can assist them with some financial support in treating with the breach, if it is that it is a matter that is to be litigated.
So, Mrs. Reed Cameron, from the Office of the Public Defender, the conversations around what are what your role is, what citizens can access from your office, and how they access it. Where do they find this information? Because you're here with us on Nationwide. Our YouTubers are very active, talking about many different things. Civics, translating the Constitution to English or accessible English. Where can people? They're asking for all of that. So where do people?
The excitement.
They are very excited, and this means that people are interested, and
Yes.
we hear it every day about what rights they have, who protects it, who they can turn to. How do they access your office? Where is it that they go to find this information?
All right.
So how do they do that?
Electronically,
Yes.
we have a website, www.opdjamaica.com. They can go there. We have a physical plant. We have an office currently at 22 to 24 Duke Street, but I should warn you that we are hoping to remove ourselves from this location very soon. And we will be at the UDC building on the 5th floor at Ocean Boulevard.
Ocean Boulevard, yes.
We also have offices in the Western region. We have the Western Regional Office at St. Claver Road, which treats with persons who may very well come from Trelawney, St. James, Hanover, Westmoreland. We also have an office in Manchester that deals with the central parishes, Clarendon, St. Elizabeth, Manchester, and so on.
Okay.
And I'm very happy to report that we also commissioned our mobile unit. And this mobile unit visits several parishes that do not actually have a plant located there. And with the help of the Social Development Commission, we identify, sometimes out of the way places, and with the assistance of the police, we go there on scheduled dates, and we have our mobile units there. And lest I forget, OPD_Jamaica at Instagram and Facebook, Office of the Public Defender. And we do have telephones.
I want to just take you back because the time is going faster than I anticipated to the matter of the legislation, the enabling legislation. Because I'm thinking, for example, I recall recently there was a case where I believe the Supreme Court, the office tried to intervene in order to vindicate some rights that were, claimed to have been violated. And my recollection is that the Supreme Court said that the office did not or could not intervene in that way. And so I was wondering whether there are any gaps that you've identified in the legislation that you're urging the parliamentarians to fill so that you can better carry out this awesome mandate.
Well, there are a lot of things that we would like to see done. Let me start by saying that I am hoping that the legislature will honor the promise that they made in Section 3 of the very Enabling Act that we have, which is that the Act would continue in force until a provision is made in the Constitution of Jamaica for the establishment of a public defender. So in other words, this office, this commission of Parliament, according to the legislature, when they created us, they were planning to put us in the Constitution, I guess right next to the DPP. I'm hoping that happens. I am hoping that they will treat with widening the mandate that we have. Give us the latitude, for example, to treat with the Jamaica Defense Force, which we are currently not allowed to investigate, as was made obvious in the need for it, rather, is the Tivoli
incursion, yes.
Made it pellucid that that is something that needs to be addressed. There are other things that I would love to see in terms, according to Ricardo, gaps. I would love to see the ability for us to have the power to impose sanctions for some of the things that we do here to be, respected and given effect to and given life. A lot of other things. There are so many areas.
Let me just pick up on that matter of sanctions, because that's so important. Because it brought my mind to, without those sanctions, do you feel, public defender, that the office is almost rendered toothless then?
I wouldn't say that it is rendered toothless, because we do have powers to do things. In other words, call people to account, go into establishments and have access to documentation that is there, that they provide. But while we basically have a mandate of what some would call persuasion, but not one of sanction. And to my mind, if it is that sanctions were employed, it could assist in making the work of the public defender more efficient and more potent.
But Mrs. Reed Cameron, one of the things that I keep hearing, because with all the the gaps that are identified, I believe that if the people of Jamaica are more tuned in to the office of the public defender and the work that you do on their behalf, and there's some kind of groundswell of interest around it beyond the cases that may come up, that it would in a lot of ways strengthen your own position in asking for some of these other planks to be added or expanded for the office of the public defender. So I believe perhaps that it is if perhaps your office could continue to look at how to engage the public more. And I still go back to the point, Ricardo, you had raised at the beginning about the language. Yes. Is that us? Yes, sorry. Sorry, my apologies. Making the language more accessible, even if it is only for the Charter of Rights that you have control over. Is there anything that can be done with that? Yes.
I'm sorry, your voice dropped and I didn't hear.
Yes, to engage with the public more, maybe getting a level of accessibility to the language that is, in the Constitution around the Charter of Rights in particular. Is there something that your office could do about that in the short term to encourage citizens?
Well, put this way, the immediate thing that I think of is just public engagement. Maybe we could probably, as you suggested, use the social pages to recalibrate, to restate in simpler words what it is.
Yes.
Please check to ensure.
Yes.
Mrs. Reed Cameron?
Mrs. Reed Cameron, are you still there? Okay, I think we have lost Mrs. Reed Cameron in the last 2 minutes, minute and a half, Ricardo.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask her in terms of the persuasion, because she talked about the power of the office's persuasion, how often she found that she is able to persuade citizens or actors, state actors, that are reported to her. But that's about all the time we have for the cover story. So
I think we have lost her. Yes.
So sorry about that. Thank you to the...
Have we gotten her back? We could ask her to answer that very quickly. Do we have a minute? Do we have time?
We're just going to take her closing comments. Mrs. Reed Cameron?
It's on our side, listeners, yes.
I'm very happy to hear that.
It's not on her side. The YouTubers are YouTubing. It's not on her side. Yes, please go ahead. Yes, please go ahead.
I don't think the YouTubers will allow you to live that one down. But just make it clear, it was not on my side.
I'm making it clear.
Mrs. Reed Cameron, we are out of time though, but we do appreciate your time. And maybe we'll have to have you in studio one day to continue this conversation because it's so important.
Definitely. Thank you so much for coming in and for talking with us online. But we want to have you one day in studio. It will be good. Thank you so much, Mrs. Reed Cameron.
Thank you for having me. It
Not
was
a problem.
such a pleasure.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
The headlines are next.
Get ready for a fun-filled day of storytelling and imagination as Cliff Hughes Online and the E-Zone celebrates Read Across Jamaica Day with a special live outside broadcast from Seawood Primary and Infant School. Join us on Tuesday, May 6th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. as we bring the joy of reading to life with exciting book readings and engaging conversations. Expect exciting prizes and surprises. So, tune in to Cliff Hughes Online and the E-Zone on May 6th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. It's Read Across Jamaica Day at Seawood Primary and Infant School. Catch the live stream on Nationwide 90 FM's YouTube channel at Nationwide 90 FM Live. All this and more only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. This broadcast is brought to you by Chris and Charles, Pressbox Printers, Guardian Group's Shine 5K, Cozy Corner Books and more, eLearning Jamaica, and Kingston Bookshop.
As we grow older, there are many challenges that we have to confront, but these years can represent the best in our lives. Coming of Age during Nationwide This Morning on Thursdays explores issues persons 50 and over confront. It also provides expert opinions on how we can improve the quality of our lives as we get older. That's Coming of Age, this and every Thursday during Nationwide This Morning at 6:51 a.m.
The time brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy is...
6:01.
Nationwide headlines at 6.
Good evening with the headlines at 6. I'm Mahiri Stewart. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness has called on Jamaicans to appreciate what he says are the broader national benefits in the current declines in the country's crime rate. According to Dr. Holness, the government's security strategy is also aimed at reducing the cost of living and securing economic opportunities for Jamaicans. In a media release on Friday, the Prime Minister noted that insecurity adds to the cost of living of every citizen. He says the cost of investments businesses have to make in security drives up operational costs that are then passed on to the consumers. The Prime Minister is urging Jamaicans not to view crime reduction as simply as a matter of community safety, but also as a key driver of economic growth. The country is projected to record lower than 1,000 murders in 2025. Meanwhile, Dr. Holness is seeking to assure Jamaicans that his administration will ensure the security forces remain accountable in their crime-fighting approach. He's reacting to recent concerns raised over the increase in police fatal shootings, which have gone up year over year since 2021. While lauding the significant reduction in major crimes in the country, Dr. Holness says the government's strategy properly balances proper respect for rule of law and human rights. Jamaicans for Justice JFJ staged a protest this week highlighting what it described as a troubling increase in fatal shootings. In a seeming response to these concerns, Prime Minister Holness stated that while his administration is committed to confronting violent criminals, it will not condone abuses of power by state forces. Dr. Holness says his administration will never sit by and allow state forces to act in a way that wantonly abuses the rights of citizens. Former Education Minister Reverend Ronald Thwaites is urging the current Minister, Senator Dr. Dana Morris Dixon, to press ahead in finding consensus and get the Jamaica Teaching Council bill passed into law. The bill has faced criticism from the parliamentary opposition and the country's main teachers' union, the JTA. The Principals and Vice Principals Association has also raised concern. Reverend Thwaites says those concerns should be addressed as a matter of urgency.
I think the considerations that the opposition is raising, the teachers are raising, should not be brushed aside. They should be considered, but they should be done. That should be done with alacrity, gentlemen. We can't be fiddling when Rome is burning, if to borrow that cliche.
Reverend Ronald Thwaites, former Minister of Education. The former minister was speaking on Nationwide this morning on Friday. The Press Association of Jamaica, PAJ, says urgent interventions are needed to stem the downward trend of Jamaica's ranking in the World Press Freedom Index. Jamaica dropped 2 spots in the latest rankings published by Reporters Without Borders, RSF. The country now ranks 26th of 180 countries. That's down from 24th last year. It says for years the PAJ and civil society have called for a revised law that reflects the current digital age, limits bureaucratic delay, and removes excessive exemptions. However, the association says the review remains stalled. The PAJ is urging the government to expedite the tabling and debate of the revised ATI legislation and commit to reducing turnaround times on ATI requests. Those are the headlines at 6. I'm Mahiri Stewart. Sports is next.
Outperform, outlast, with top performance, Jackama, reliable, full stop, not comma. We have the expertise for drilling and demolition. We have the power tools for plumbers and electrician. Fancy select tools, 3 parts and 3 repairs. 3 parts, 3 repairs. 2 to 3 years. Hilton, available at Delta Supply, 106 Hagley Park Road. Call us at 876-302-6111-4. Delta Supply, we service what we sell.
Get ready for a heartwarming and inspiring celebration as E-Zone honors the dedicated heroes of education on Teachers' Day with a special live outside broadcast from Lorna Auto Prep School. Join us on Wednesday, May 7th from 1 to 3 p.m. as we recognize and celebrate the teachers who shape minds, build futures, and inspire greatness every single day. So don't miss it. Celebrate Teachers' Day with the E-Zone and Lorna Auto Prep School on May 7th from 1 to 3 p.m. Catch the live stream on Nationwide 90 FM's YouTube channel at Nationwide 90 FM Live 2. All this and more only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. This broadcast is brought to you by Chris and Charles and JT Cooperative Credit Union.
Good evening with your sports report. I am Alric Swiby. We bore things off with some cricket as at sports time Trinidad and Tobago Legions reached 6 without loss against Leeward Islands Thunder in the Cricket West Indies Breakout T20 League at the Brian Lara Stadium. Meanwhile, Jamaica Titans suffered a 3-1 defeat against Barbados Pelicans in their match today. Chasing 156 to win, the Titans made 152 for 7 off their 20 overs. Jordan Johnson made 34 and Leroy Lugg 27. Earlier, the Pelicans made 155 for 7 off their 20 overs. Sakiri Parish led the batting with 41, Kadeem Allen made 38 and Joshua Bishop 25 not out. This was the Titans' second consecutive defeat and third overall. 26 schools from across Western Jamaica were a part of the Cricket Intervention Program. CIP received cricket kits from the JCA and Ministry of Sports on Thursday. CIP provided the students with an opportunity to learn through play. Minister of Sports Oliver Grains says the program offers much more than just the thrill of competition.
You learn lessons that will serve you throughout your lives. Lessons like the patience of a batter who must wait for the right delivery, the strategic thinking of a captain positioning the fielders, the precision and discipline of bowlers perfecting their technique, and the resilience to face a challenging pitch or a formidable opponent.
Minister Green says these skills translate directly into academic success and personal growth.
The concentration developed while batting for long periods transfers to focusing on challenging subjects. The analytical thinking required for field placements become problem-solving ability in mathematics and science.
She also had high praises for Diana Foster Wright, the Dean of Discipline at Merlin Otte High, who conceptualized the program.
Her vision and dedication have created opportunities that extend far beyond the cricket pitch. So this ceremony today is a testament of your commitment to these young people's development.
Oliver Greens, Minister of Sports. Now to track and field, as world champion Daniel Williams and Tokyo Olympic gold medalist Hansel Parchment are among 9 Jamaicans down to compete at the second stop on the Wonder Diamond League circuit in Shanghai, China on Saturday. Williams will run in the women's 100 meters hurdles. She also gets some challenge from world record holder Toby Amerson of Nigeria, Divine Charlton of the Bahamas, and the USA's Nia Ali. Meanwhile, Parchment will contest the 110 meters hurdles. He'll be joined by countrymen Rashid Broadbell and Orlando Bennett. Paris Olympic silver medalist Kishane Thompson and Rowan Watson will line up in the men's 100 meters. The women's 800 meters will feature Natoya Gould-Toppin. Daniel Thomas Dodd will line up in the women's shot put, and Jordan Scott will be Jamaica's standard bearer in the men's triple jump. Greg Popovich has stepped down from his position as head coach of the San Antonio Spurs after 29 years with the team. On Friday, the Spurs announced that Popovich will transition into the role of president of basketball operations at the organization. Over 29 seasons, Popovich oversaw 1,422 regular season victories, the most by a head coach in NBA history, and led the Spurs to 5 NBA championships, most recently in 2014. The 76-year-old has not been on the sidelines since suffering a mild stroke in November before a home win over the Minnesota Timberwolves. In his absence, the Spurs failed to reach the 2025 NBA playoffs. They have not played in the postseason since 2019 after finishing the regular season with a 34-48 record. Mitch Johnson, who served as acting head coach after Popovich took a leave of absence following his stroke, will take over as head coach. Popovich arrived in San Antonio in 1988 as an assistant coach, and after a 2-year spell with the Golden State Warriors, returned to the Spurs as head coach in 1996. He was the longest-serving active coach in any major U.S. sports. Popovich led the U.S. men's basketball team to a gold at the 2020 Tokyo Olympics and was inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame as a coach in 2023. Champions Fraser's Whip will seek to maintain their 100% win record when they take on Arnett Gardens in the Jamaica Women's Premier League at Excelsior High Field on Saturday. Fraser's Whip lead the standings with 24 points from 8 starts, while Arnett sits at third with 19 points. Meanwhile, Cavalier will seek to return to winning ways when they travel to Jarrett Park for their match against Real Mobay. In other fixtures, Springer United face Proven Girls at Cornwall College, Federal United play UWI Women at Prison Oval, and Wi-Fi United tussle with Mile Gully at Carter Park. All matches start at 3:30. Kevin De Bruyne marked his penultimate Etihad appearance by scoring the only goal to clinch a hard-fought 1-0 win over Wolves and so moved City up into third in English Premier League and a step closer to a Champions League spot. The Belgian, who will leave City this summer after a decade's wonderful service, struck in 35 minutes.
Feeding Doku, dancing his way through, trying to set up De Bruyne, and he's managed that. Kevin De Bruyne with the breakthrough, tinged with just the wonder as to whether it's his last for City here.
In tomorrow's fixtures, Aston Villa play Fulham, Everton host Ipswich Town, Leicester City are at home to Southampton, and Arsenal welcome Bournemouth. 480 boys and girls from 60 primary and preparatory schools across the island is set to compete in the Scotiabank Kiddies football competition. The tournament will kick off at Manchester High on Saturday and feature under 11 players in a mixed 5-a-side format. President of the Jamaica Football Federation, Michael Ricketts, says he's excited about what will unfold from the tournament.
I am very, very aware, probably more than anybody else, how important this particular exercise is. My personal interpretation of grassroots football is exactly what we are doing today. And we had a competition in Clarendon, And I remember the finals of the under-8. The two schools that actually participated in that final were nestled in densely populated communities. And at that final, you would want to think that it was a Premier League game because every single parent, every cousin, every aunt, every neighbor was at that final. And I remember very clearly that this little boy picked up a ball, turned around, kicked it in his own goal, and celebrated, probably still celebrating, and try as his father, he could not get him to understand that he did something that was wrong. But the whole idea is to get the passion out of the kids.
Michael Ricketts, Vice President of Public Affairs at Scotia Group Jamaica, Yannick Forbes Patrick, says this is an exciting new chapter in the financial institution's ongoing commitment to youth development through sports.
Over the next 4 weekends, these young athletes will compete with passion and pride, culminating in the crowning of our first ever All-Ireland champion on May 25. This is a historic moment for Scotiabank. This marks the first time that the Scotiabank Kids Football Championship is being held in the English-speaking Caribbean, and of course it had to be Jamaica first. So having started in 2014, this competition has a rich history of positively impacting the lives of young people across Latin America, and we anticipate it having a very similar effect here in Jamaica.
Yannick Forbes Patrick. And finally, Harbourview and Mount Pleasant will clash in the final of the KFC-sponsored Elite Under-17 All-Ireland Football Tournament at the Tony Spalding Complex on Saturday. Coach of Harbourview, Clyde Giardini, says the teams are evenly matched.
Both teams are very good in attack. Both teams are excellent in transition. And both teams have more than outstanding players who can change the game at the stroke of a shot, a dribble, or a tackle. So we're going to have to play 90 minutes of solid football, and if it goes to extra times and penalties, we have to be there. We have to be ready for all that comes, and we expect that Mount Pleasant will bring their A game. We're looking to bring our A game.
Giardini says they are ready to battle for the championship title.
It's our third year since the pandemic that they had the 3 under-17 competitions. We have been in all 3 finals respectively as the only club to do that. In the CASAFA Vallejo in 2022, we lost on penalties. We lost last year on the All-Ireland JFF, the inaugural JFF under-17, to Cavaliers 1-0 in that final. And so this is our time in the final. So we have been doing consistently well, and we hope to see if we can go one step further this year and lift the crown.
Clyde Giardini, I'm Alex Swaby, and that's your sports.
For all your scales and food processing equipment, call Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited at 876-968-9612-5. The time by Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited is
6:17.
For all your electrical needs, visit ABC Electrical Sales. They stock a wide variety of electrical supplies including plugs, switches, panel boards, and conduits, plus energy-saving fixtures. ABC Electrical Sales stocks brands like GE, Siemens, Philips, Cutler Hammer, and Allen Bradley. They also offer free island-wide delivery just to suit your needs. Visit them at Shop 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10, or call 876-754-3714-5 or 876-754-3825-8. ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice in the electrical business.
Calling all golfers! The 3rd annual Stories to Create charity golf tournament is happening on July 19 at the Constant Spring Golf Course, and you don't want to miss it. Come out and compete in 8 exciting challenges, from longest drive to beat the pro. And yes, you'll get your shot at $5 million in the hole-in-one contest. Prizes, surprises, and a powerful cause supporting youth and storytelling programs through EHAS Inc. Register now and swing with purpose. Visit ehasinc.org or email info@ehasinc.org, and we'll see you on the green.
Not a mercy.
This one is very classic, dedicated to all schoolers who are taking them.
If you've ever struggled to pass an exam, then you'll know that students today are under great pressure to get good grades and secure qualification needed to move on to higher education. The problem is that too many students are struggling alone and could really benefit from connecting with hardworking teachers and other bright students in other parts of the country and the region. Join me, Dennis Brooks, this and every Friday evening from 8 to 9, with a repeat on Saturday morning from 8 to 9. For the A-Team, a study group on radio, my team of teachers, students, and experts will break down the syllabus, giving you information, tips, and past paper questions that will help you get top grades in your upcoming exams. Follow us on Facebook Live and on Twitter and be a part of the community. It's the A-Team. Fridays at 8 p.m. with a repeat at 8 o'clock on Saturday morning. It's your free extra class on radio and social media. And it's right here on Nationwide 90 FM, the revolution in media.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Good evening and welcome to Public Opinion. I'm Mahiri Stewart, and a special good evening to our YouTubers. I'm going to need y'all help today because, we're going to invite you to weigh in live on today's Public Opinion. You know, folks, on Friday, we like to take it a lot easier. We like to hit you with the simpler questions, the finer things in life. We're not talking about no politics. We're not talking about none of that stuff. Something simple, something the every person can relate to. And we've gone to great lengths this time around because a certain debate has taken social media by storm, and I saw it fit personally to request that we ask this here on the Nationwide Airways just to see the kind of responses we would get. Now, it wasn't too long ago, I believe it was last week, a random person on Twitter just tweeted, you know something, I think 100 men could beat one gorilla in a fight. And you'd expect it to blow up the way a normal tweet would blow up and no one would really care. They'd give a little joke here and there. But for some strange reason, this one random tweet has sparked into a worldwide debate about whether or not 100 men could actually get the job done. So why not bring it to the Nationwide Airways just to see what our listeners think? Because we value your opinions. So we're going to test the value of those opinions to the ultimate test today. Today on Public Opinion, we ask, could 100 men actually defeat a gorilla? And you'd be pleased to know that we've got quite a number of responses here that I'm here to read. So we're going to start off with Instagram. And it says, we're going to start off with Manthas Essential Oil that says 100 watt type of men. Because there's no way the new fragile, if it's these new frail and fragile set, then no way. But if it was the men of the past who were strong and manly, of course 100 of them could all beat King Kong. Jet Slate says yes, definitely. Natalia T. Burton says absolutely, I could beat one myself. Hey, it's Lady K. Hutchinson says no. However, C. Henry says after it no impossible. Portland Goats says with ease because man don't fight fair and don't underestimate the power and strength of a man. Legends 1994 says 100 men will win every single time. Anyone that thinks otherwise is thinking of the fictional gorillas like King Kong or something. Of course, we are going to lose a few of these men. Because it's a hypothetical question just to assess the possibility, then it's certainly we could afford to lose a few to achieve this. Yeah? Paul Best Deal Jones says, yup, gorillas have weak spots too. A few men will definitely get maimed. In theory, yes, but the real question is, which of the men are willing to die? People, I'm telling you, there's a whole discussion going on in just our comment section. Forget the rest of the world for a minute. In our very comment section, people are going at it over this thing. What else we have here? Dino Monroe says it only takes one man with a belt. Vivian Hanchard says if a man uses his intellect, he can, but if he's relying on brute force, he cannot. Manayard Baker says, in a physical confrontation, of course, even one man can beat a gorilla because the gorilla is going to depend upon its strength, while the man will use his strength and his brain to do so. Philip Jackson says, men were made to conquer and control any animal, and the biggest destruction to earth is man. So the gorilla will use strength, but man will use wisdom and beat that thing to the ground, even if it's one man. So forget the 100, right? Bugs, these guys are crazy. These guys are saying you just need one guy. If one guy just believes in himself, he can get the job done. Nobody's even bringing up the fact that it's 100. There are people in the comments saying, if you just have one guy and you gas him up enough, that's all you need. One guy can defeat a gorilla. All right, man. See, Shines for Life Law, I could do that on my busiest day. Okay. Now we're getting a bit back to reality. Oral Daly says no. Norman Wallen Jr. says kiss me teeth. Cleon Spence says no. So we have a couple no's here. I'd love to see what the YouTubers are saying here. Because that's what I'm saying. Paul Pierre. Paul Pierre says big size gorilla no, sir. That's what I'm getting at here, man. 100 Jamaican men, says Ursulin Bowen. So Melissa Williams says 100 jellyback Jamaican men. No, and that's what I'm trying to say. You think if you cloned 100 of me, I could defeat a gorilla? How? We're not talking about using weapons or guns or none of that stuff. We're talking about your two hands. That's all you have. I can't... Listen, man. I feel like there's two sides to this argument. I feel like there's the people that underestimate the strength of a gorilla. And I think there's a group of people that underestimate how many people 100 men really is. You know? I think there's a way for 100 men to defeat a gorilla. But the way Twitter is trying to argue this, where they send one guy in and if he dies, they send another, that's not gonna work. If you do it that way, everybody's gonna die. All 100 men. There's not gonna... The guy in number 100, he's probably gonna be the most scared person because he's gonna see 99 dudes die before him. Exactly, Willow Will. Fear alone will kill us. That's what Willow Will's saying to me. Paul Pierce says, this is crazy. I agree. Frank White says the gorilla for the win. He don't think 100 men can take down one gorilla with their two hands. Because we're not talking about using weapons here. Yeah? Leonard Civil says, no way. 100 will win. No way 100 could win because some of them are going to get scared and run off. I think so too. I would get scared and run off. They were saying it in the Facebook comments. You can't win this unless you're prepared to lose a couple guys. You think 100 men are going to take out one gorilla and not one of them come out with at least an injury? See that? Randolph Wright says, many of you have never seen a gorilla, much less a silverback. Yeah? T-Mac says he's got to be a Samson to do that with 100. Right? Master Jam says, Mahiri, a gorilla speed and strength is too much for even 300 men. So now we're getting back to reality here. Because when I was reading the Instagram comments and even some of the Facebook comments, people were like, listen, I could take down a gorilla in my sleep. Me, one person. One person. See that? Ursulin Brown says, Mahiri, you feed on bread and sandwiches, you're weak. That's what I'm saying, man. You want men who eat dumpling and yellow yam with cow foot skin? You say if we got 100 dumpling eaters, they would be enough to take them down? Come on, man. One man can, says Steve McKellar. 100 men, they would run fast like Usain Bolt, says Andrew Last. And even in the YouTube chat, I'm telling you, man, there's no group of people you can ask this question to that will give you the same answer. Everybody is split down the middle, even in this YouTube chat. I'm seeing some people say it is absolutely possible. And on the contrary, I'm seeing people telling me no. Because look at Frank White. Frank White is now refuting what Ursulin just told me. Frank White says no. It don't matter how much dumplings you can't defeat one gorilla with 100 men if you're gonna use your bare hands. Because how you gonna kill him if you have to use your bare hands? You have to get close to him at some point. You can't throw something at him. There's nothing to throw. If you get close enough to a gorilla where you can touch it, it means it can touch you. And if it grabs you, what are you going to do? You can't brute strength your way out of that. You can't adrenaline your way out of that. That's just it for you, man. So if you go back to the comments that we were reading earlier, and they were saying, listen, man, these things are a lot stronger than you think. They really are. Because look at that, man. David DeBar says, one monkey does not stop the show. Yeah? Where you going with starchy food, says Sharon Bless. Yeah? And when them done, eat them. I go You guys are cracking me up, man. Andrew Last says, dumpling don't make you stronger. Reposing Rain Sounds Plus says, totally impossible unless I have weapons. What, are you going to start using the people as weapons? Are you going to turn 50 of the 100 men into weapons? How are you going to do this, man? Logic Robinson says 100 men can't even take on 5 pit bulls. That's probably true. I can't even take on 1 pit bull. Pit bulls are scary. Scary, scary creatures. Them can't take bite, says Esan Richards. Yes, so true. Willow Will says, this is a festive Friday. It is a festive one for true. Because to this day, I'm still yet to see a definitive answer. Every group of persons you ask this question to, they always have a different answer to it, man. They always have a different answer. Look at that. No man afraid of dog, much less a gorilla, says Errol Murray. What kind of men are you talking about, man? I'm afraid of dogs. I'm afraid of the right kinds of dogs, not just like strays. Pitbull different still, says Frank White. What's this? Leonard Civil says, the gorilla win for me. Too much strength that animal has. Yeah. And Master Jam brings up an important point that we were talking about earlier. Even a chimpanzee could take on 100 men and have a fighting chance. Those things are dangerous too. And those things are way smaller than a human being. So we're talking about something this big, way taller than the average person, way stronger than the average person. Like, that doesn't even have a brain that's just going to be programmed to fight you no matter what. Come on now, man. Yeah. These comments are cracking me up. Alex Smith says, 1 house lizard make me give up my sleep plus my home. 140 like make me walk on air. 1 green lizard make me jump out of a coconut tree. Sir, read between the lines. Alec, that's kind of crazy, man. Can I be so honest with you, YouTubers? I never understood being afraid of lizards. That's one thing people are afraid of that I never saw the vision. And I don't know if it's because I grew up in a household where they were always on the wall and the ceiling. But lizards, no. Lizards have never made me scared before. I don't know. But everybody's different, man. What's this? Sharon Bless said, not even the bear that Red Riding Hood met kiss me teeth. Melissa Williams says, Alex Smith loved the honesty. Honestly, fair enough, Alec. Some people are just afraid of lizards, man. Some people are afraid of lizards. I can't relate. Paul Peart says, I don't think so, Melissa Williams. Not even to go close to a buffalo. Look at this great job at delivering this segment, Mahiri. Mrs. A says, we are in stitches. Are you? I don't think this is a laughing matter at all. And I find this to actually be a very serious discussion about the limits of the human body and what it can achieve. Yeah. Love lizard, says Esan Richards. That's you, man. Maureen McKenzie says, rat met me run out of the house half dressed. That's kind of wild. Somebody can be afraid of 40 legs, says Arlene Rowe. If it's a scorpion, then... Okay, so now we're just talking about our biggest fears. That's what it seems to be. Because Cherry Care is saying she can't stand bullfrogs, and I completely get that. Frogs are weird. Frogs are a weird set, man. Esan Richards says they keep out the mosquitoes. Winston Haywood says Trump can beat him. Okay, you think one Donald Trump could take on one gorilla and win? Under what circumstances, though? What's he gonna do that's gonna kill him? Winston Haywood, Melissa Williams. Melissa Williams is dying of laughter. She's just been posting nothing but laughing emojis this whole talk. And I'm just loving every second of it. Sharon Bless says, Mahiri, wait, only a bionic man can win? You used to watch it, Mahiri? No, I don't know what you're talking about. What's Bionic Man? Are you talking about another superhero I don't know about? Well, that's crazy. But look at that, man. And now people are fully talking about their biggest fears. Because here's Petrona Smith in the comments saying, I'm afraid of 40 legs and one bite me last night in my bed. Oh, no. Sorry to hear that, man. Frank White says, me play with frog. Calvin Watson says, I'm afraid of lizards. Master Jam says, Mahiri, you need to talk about the African ants. And Andrew Lass says, most Jamaicans are afraid of a little lizard. This is what I love about Pub Up, you know, it always evolves into something else. This isn't the first time I've done Pub Up with one question. I remember we were asking an Easter question a couple weeks back about the true meaning of Easter, and it turned into bun and cheese versus fish and bread. Okay, here we go. Look at this. Lone Wolf Sports says, if the 100 men are unarmed, uncoordinated, and facing a gorilla in a confined space, the first few men who engage will be severely injured or killed. Panic, fear, lack of coordination. Right? Steve Austin is the Bionic Man. Okay, Sharon Bless. I know exactly who Stone Cold Steve Austin is, but I don't think Stone Cold Steve Austin can beat a gorilla, even if you make 100 of him. Yeah? Oh my goodness. You know something, folks? This Pub Up went exactly how I was hoping it was gonna go. You guys really showed up today, and we had a very good talk. I'm very glad I brought this here. There are a couple doubts in the newsroom, but based on how much fun everybody in here was having, I'm glad we asked this question, because this was a very fun segment. But I'm gonna end it here because we still have to do the business report. But thanks as always for participating in Public Opinion. Business report is up next.
Public Opinion was brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, industrial automation and control solutions.
Drive the most exciting new vehicles in Jamaica. Schedule your 2024 Ford Ranger pickup or Ford Everest 7-seater SUV test drive now. Call or visit KIG today.
The time by KIG is
6:34. Hello, good evening, and welcome to Nationwide's Business Report. I'm Mahiri Stewart. The United States on Friday ended a tariff exemption for goods shipped from China worth less than $800, dealing a major blow to popular e-commerce sites such as Shein and Temu, whose cheap items consumers have come to rely on. The decision was announced last month, with the White House calling it a, quote, critical step in countering the ongoing health emergency posed by the illicit flow of synthetic opioids, end quote, from China to the United States. Starting on Friday, goods shipped commercially will now be subject to new tariffs of 145%, the current level of levies imposed on goods coming from China. Items sent through the U.S. Postal Service will be hit with duties of 120% of their value, or a $100, which will increase to a $200 next month. Temu says Temu has said it will stop selling goods imported from China in the U.S. directly to customers from its platform. The online marketplace said sales would now be handled by locally based sellers, with orders fulfilled from within the country. The move comes as a duty-free rule for low-value packages is closed. Temu and rival Chinese retail giant Shein had previously relied on a trade policy exemption to sell and ship low-value items directly to the U.S. without having to pay duties or import taxes. And finally, in the currency markets, at the close of trading today, it cost 159 Jamaican dollars and 47 cents to buy $1. It cost 213 Jamaican dollars and 18 cents to buy £1 and 116 Jamaican dollars and 58 cents to buy the Canadian dollar. That's the business report. I'm Mahiri Stewart. Good evening.
Something good just got better. You now have more time to benefit from the NWC's Debt Amnesty Package, which has been extended for another 2 months. So, from now until May 31, find out if you qualify for a benefit under the amnesty. Don't delay. Let's hear from you today. Call 888-225-5692 or visit a commercial office. The NWC Debt Amnesty, a part of our bucket full of goodies.
It must stop. It have to stop. Gang violence is not the solution to our problem. It will only cause pain and suffering. Let's find non-violent ways to solve our conflict. Let's work together to create a safer and peaceful Jamaica. Let's all live good.
A message from the Ministry of National Security.
Hi there. Here's some good news for these trying times. Quote, "By God's word, I can see where I'm going. They throw a beam of light on my dark path." Unquote. Psalm 119, verse 105. Listen for God's word weekdays at 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. through
Oasis. Stop by for a refreshing drink and share a God perspective for the day.
Oasis. Weekdays 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. right here on Nationwide, a revolution in media.
The rebroadcast of the Oasis can be heard weekdays at 5:45 a.m.
Come into the parlor, there's a welcome there for you.
Welcome to the Mayor's Parlor with Desmond McKenzie.
From 1 to 6 p.m. every Sunday, you'll now get more of your favorite vintage music.
Put your head on my shoulder.
Nationwide 90 FM will transform your Sunday into a musical time machine that will take you way back.
Come with me, let's go back in time.
This magic moment.
Journey into yesteryear with Desmond McKenzie in the Mayor's Parlor.
I've got the music to jog your memory and make you smile.
Put your sweet lips a little closer to the phone.
Sit back, relax, and enjoy the best in vintage music.
Come into the Mayor's Parlor every Sunday between 1 and 6 p.m. here on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
It's 6:40. That means it's time for the nation's business. I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Donna Hope.
And just before we get to that segment, in our previous discussion segment, the cover story, we know, listeners, you may have heard a prompt which suggested that somebody was using a prepaid line. Well, we can assure you that we do not have any prepaid lines here. We do not use credit. All the lines are, as they would say, hook up straight, right?
And the public defender is also not at fault.
Right.
Yes.
So it was, we all have postpaid lines. So we have reported the matter to senior management, and they are going to look into that with the telecoms provider. All right? Mm-hmm. So we're focused now on National Child's Month, and the theme, Act Now, Stand Against Child Abuse and Exploitation. That's the theme of Child Month 2025. Speaking during the post-cabinet media briefing on Wednesday, Chairman of the National Child Month Committee, Nicole Patrick Shaw, says the theme was chosen following the committee's examination of recent reports concerning violence against children in Jamaica.
We did an environmental assessment last quarter, that would have been in December, and we recognize that there's an increase in child violence. The report says that over 43,000 cases of child abuse was reported between January 2019 and December 2020. And so you would have 60 reports per day in terms of child abuse. Between 2020 and 2024, crimes against children included 168 murders, 1,439 rapes, 2,576 sexual offenses, 351 shootings, and it goes on and on and on. And so we recognize that we needed to put into action the theme, Act Now, Stand Against Child Abuse and Exploitation.
That's Nicole Patrick Shaw, Chairman of the National Child Month Committee.
Now, May is recognized as Child Month, and Permanent Secretary in the Youth Ministry, Dr. Kassan Troop, says the Ministry of Health will help to provide mental wellness sessions for children this month.
We are going to be specializing in what we call our on-the-corner conversations, wellness conversations. Coming out of COVID, we have had to amplify the work in the well-being area of our children. And so Evening Child Month will be in one of our schools, with several other schools coming out. That's in the latter part of May, talking about the mental health issues facing our children. How are you feeling? How are you coping? The Ministry of Health will be partnering with us, and they will be roving with their wellness bench, and we'll be having conversation on the bench. The bench is like a prop to stimulate conversation and to create that atmosphere for us to talk about what's happening and how we can help. Experts will be there to provide support for our children. So that's a big day for us in the month of May.
That's Dr. Kassan Troop, Permanent Secretary in the Youth Ministry. Joining us now to discuss is the second Vice Chair of the National Child Month Committee, Ruth Lawrence. Good evening, Ms. Lawrence.
Good evening, Ms. Lawrence. Welcome to the program. Ms. Lawrence?
No, not hearing her yet.
Not hearing her as yet.
So we're focused on Ms. Lawrence?
Is she with us?
Okay,
so we are checking on that. But yes, Ricardo, and May is Child's Month. We also have Mother's Day, because I suppose of the connection to children in the same month. And so this is an issue. I think child abuse, broadly speaking, lumping in not just violence against children or exploitation of children, but also the child sexual abuse that seems to be coming out in the theme for this month. So, yes.
And it's so strange because we always hear these messages being reinforced that we need to protect our children against abuse and exploitation, and yet it persists, and I keep thinking to myself, what more can we do as a society to ensure that this message resonates?
And I think the Vice Chair of the National Child Month Committee, Mrs. Ruth Lawrence, Ms. Ruth Lawrence is going to help us to frame out some of that. We have her with us. We're still working to try and get her, because I think one of the challenges we hear, people talk about, all the children are our future. If you empower children, then you have empowered adults. But we don't sometimes seem to be living what we talk and what we preach. And this is impacting on the kind of adults, the kind of young men and women that we see around us sometimes, who seem to be harmed and have been harmed by the structures that they have been raised in, Ricardo.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that we have to ensure that we do is change the culture, because I think we have a culture that says that you ought to beat the child. Yeah, that's a natural part of parenting. That the child steps out of line,
physically,
you must bring them back in line.
You beat them,
right? And that might be just part and parcel of just how violent we are as a people, just generally. That we think violence is what we need to use to make our point, or to get compliance with our message. We have to also change that.
I think also, Ricardo, that because many persons like my generation, probably those who have come after and those who have gone before, were raised in that kind of culture where, they beat you. So you learn and you were raised in that, and we turn out to be really good citizens and productive. So we say, nothing never happened to me. So we should continue that cycle. And so that is also a part of the problem. I think we're getting to take a break. So let's take a break and come back. Yes.
This time signal is sponsored by Janet Global Accreditation, an agency of the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce. The time is now
6:46 p.m.
We now have with us Ruth Lawrence. She's the second Vice Chair of the National Child Month Committee. Good evening, Ms. Lawrence.
Good evening, Ms. Lawrence. Welcome.
Good evening, Ricardo. Good evening, Donna. How are you both?
We are doing well.
Doing well. Thanks so much for joining us.
So tell us a little bit, because the theme seems very broad for Child Month this year. What was the process like in choosing the theme, Act Now, Stand Against Child Abuse and Exploitation, for this Child Month 2025?
Well, as our chairperson would have stated in the clip earlier, that's Mrs. Patrick Shaw, it's really a consultative process that we undertake every year. The beauty about the Child Month Committee is that we have it's a diverse grouping of persons from various ministries, NGOs, and even IDPs, international organizations that come together. And what we do is that we assess the data, we see what's really happening on the ground, and based on that now, we will make a determination in terms of selecting a theme. And as Mrs. Patrick Shaw would have stated, when we looked at the data that was coming out, we recognized that there was a spark increase in cases of child abuse. And she would have reiterated the fact that over 43 plus thousand reports were in 2019. And equally so, we recognize also that it just keeps on growing. And this was definitely something that we had to attend to, we had to look into as a matter of urgency. So that's kind of where we our mindset was in terms of selecting the theme. Just looking at the data, looking at what is in the media, and also seeing how best we could do our part to amplify this so that, there can be a stop that can be placed on this.
Ms. Lawrence, Act Now, Stand Against Child Abuse. Prof and I were just discussing how sometimes our cultural, let's call them norms or perhaps attitudes, have reinforced instances of abuse. So, for example, we used to get beaten when we did liquor, so we turned out fine.
All right. Yeah,
so liquor beating no caused no problem. How do you confront those kind of cultural realities?
Yes.
Well, that's the thing. What we are really encouraging as a committee to the rest of Jamaica is to understand that as times evolve, there can be ways in which we can seek to improve and become better. And yes, we know that, what we would say spanking or so would be a part of our culture. And yes, most of us turned out well, but we have to understand that things and times are changing. But what we find, it's stemming beyond the discipline. What we find now is that there is physical harm that's been inflicted. Broken bones are now involved and all these things. So what we're really saying is that there can be alternatives to this. We can actually find other ways of bringing across messages. We can find a more healthy way or positive ways of really reinforcing positive values in our children. Because to be honest, what we see is that, and the data shows you that violence, when we inflict, we expose our children to violence, they ultimately become adults who now become perpetrators of violence.
So there's a cycle
and
that
so
is, yes.
There is a vicious cycle, and we have to break that
Well,
with positive parenting practices and really seeking to understand our children as best as possible.
But Miss Lawrence, I'm listening to you, and I'm hearing in the back of my head someone listening to the program and saying, "She lucky, them people they're lucky. Little boy bad, and me have to beat him because a beating we take and fix them." So in terms of how do you believe that the theme Act Now will kind of motivate individuals on the ground in particular to take some kind of action or to change their own perspective and perception of beating children, which is really a form of child abuse?
The beauty about the theme really begins with the first line or the first statement, and that is the Act Now. And really what this speaks to is a personal responsibility that we want every Jamaican citizen to understand, that every child is our child. So it's not just your child, it's not just your neighbor's child. Every child, every Jamaican child, or every child in general is our children. And what we do and how we treat with them is going to impact the next generation. And as I would have said a while ago, we have a vicious cycle of violence in Jamaica. We see it every day. And what we need to also recognize is that a lot of these instances of violence, they tend to start or begin somewhat in the home. And then it spans beyond the home. It goes into the community and it penetrates the schools, and ultimately the society now becomes a hub of violence. So really what we want Jamaicans to understand is that the key is in our own hands in terms of how we treat with our children. Understanding that our actions today will definitely have, whether it be a positive or a negative impact for the future. So we really want persons to understand that, hey, you can break that cycle, you can break that culture, you can be a part of that change. And to be honest with you, children know when they are loved.
Yes.
They know when they are loved. And when they know that they are loved, the response oftentimes will be a little bit different. So I believe if we can foster a culture of love, acceptance and understanding, we will definitely be able to see a better and a brighter Jamaica.
And Miss Lawrence, isn't part of the problem that we're facing as a society that we have parents who themselves need parenting? Isn't that part of the problem?
Oh, can can I tell you, what I say, babies having babies. To be honest with you, I do believe, put it this way, Donna and Ricardo, we don't have a parenting manual. None of us, when we, become parents, there's a manual that's handed to you to say, hey, read this. Study this, pass the test. There's no parenting manual. And whilst every parenting journey is unique, on its own, there are some cross-cutting principles and approaches that I believe can be adopted as we seek to raise our children the right way. I'm even looking in my own life while growing up. I could rarely count, probably on one hand, how many times my mother would quote-unquote spank me. Because my family, they had the culture of the eye. I don't know if you know the eye.
And you have the eye and you have the sound in the voice. There are a particular tone in the voice. You know if you go any further. Yes.
And that would straighten you up. And I can tell you, for my mother particularly, it was the eye. And when you see that eye, you don't shape up right away. So there are ways, there are means that we can seek to really expose our children, train up our children, because that's what the Bible says, train. It never said beat and abuse. It said train them, which means expose them to principles and ideologies that can transform their mindset to become better.
But Miss Lawrence, I hear in the conversation you have it takes a village mantra somewhere in the background. But I also hear coming out of what you're saying that, you're talking about the physical abuse, but also the emotional abuse and the mental issues that do go forward into adulthood. And I think Dr. Troop spoke to the fact that there would be mental wellness sessions. How important do you think mental wellness is in the fight against child abuse and exploitation?
So critical, Donna, so critical, because what we recognize, and we would have highlighted it earlier, we find that persons who are exposed to, particular type of, whether it be physical, sexual, or emotional abuse, they tend to perpetuate that or pass that on to their own children when that time comes. And what we have to find is that if we don't learn, we are not we don't have, sadly, the culture where we would go to see a psychologist if we're having mental health challenges. Really, whilst it's changing a bit, it's not something that is very openly welcome, because you do know the stigma of persons thinking that, it's mad, you're mad, so you want to go to a psychologist or a shrink. But really and truly, I don't believe many persons are self-aware enough to recognize when they are experiencing trauma and when it is that they're inflicting trauma upon someone else, particularly children. So mental well-being now is so critical, because self-awareness now helps you to process your own feelings. Why is it that every time I see this child, I'm so angry? Could it be that because maybe the father is no longer in your life, you know, pass on this hurt,
the resentment and the hurt,
yes, on the poor child, and so it has to take the conversation now has to shift from, are you a perpetuator now of this kind of ideology, because you are still suffering yourself. And so we want to create a culture in Jamaica where we are open with our feelings, we are open to getting help when we need it, so that we don't perpetuate this vicious cycle of abuse.
And I don't want to go off on a tangent, Ms. Lawrence, but I know that in Jamaica, the conversations around the need to get, we call it counseling and some help is growing. There's a kind of groundswell, but what happens in many instances, people tell you it's there. To have a counseling session, it's actually expensive on budgets that are tight. So in that regard, I think what the Ministry of Health will be doing for Child Month will be a welcome insertion into the value added that is a part of the activity. Yes.
And can I tell you too, Donald?
Yes.
COVID, actually. I have to commend also the government, because they have been moving in the right direction. Whilst all things aren't perfect, but we do see the strides that are being made, particularly on the matter of mental health and wellness.
Yes.
We see where the ministry would have launched their mental health toll-free hotline.
Yes, the Ministry of Health, yes.
Yeah, man, and they would have done that. There's a suicide prevention health line as well.
Yes.
You know, so persons can call Safe Spot Jamaica, which falls under the Office of the Children's Advocate. They have a 24-hour mental health chatline for teens. So if they are having any challenges, they can call that line and get basic counseling. As a matter of fact, most recently, I believe in 2018, the Ministry of Health in partnership with UNICEF would have launched the UMATA chat line. As a matter of fact, it's so critical and so meaningful that this chat line is a messaging-based chat line. So you have the opportunity at your fingertips, young people that is, to really communicate via text messages to a trained counselor. And this is 24/7.
Yes.
24/7 rather. So I can see where, and of course, most of these hotlines and mechanisms would have been developed because of surveys that would have been done, the conversations that would have started coming out of COVID. So we do see that there is a bit of development, but what we want is for persons to have an openness, removing the stigma when we talk about mental wellness and well-being, that it doesn't have to do with somebody getting crazy. It could be just that somebody's frustrated, somebody's depressed, they're anxious. These are things that we need to address as best as possible, and we need to remove the stigma from them as best as possible.
Ruth Lawrence, what do you need, members of the public, myself, Prof, Bugs, Dana, those listening? What do you need us to do? What do you want us to do during this Child Month?
What we definitely want all Jamaicans to rally together. We talk about rallying around the West Indies. We need to now rally around our children in terms of ensuring that we keep our eyes peeled, our ears peeled to any instances of abuse, because by law, the Child Care and Protection Act says if you know or suspect that a child is being abused, you have a responsibility to report it. And so we are promoting the 211 hotline. That's a hotline that you can call. It's operated by the CPFSA. You call, you report the cases. Remember, you don't have to, even if it is that you might not have full or the hard evidence. Once you suspect or that something might be off, we want persons to report it, intervene if you have the opportunity, and mediate where necessary. So we really want to have what is called a zero tolerance approach to child abuse, because we must break this vicious cycle.
Act now. Stand against child abuse
and exploitation.
Exploitation.
And before you go, Ms. Lawrence, just remind us of the line. The 211 is for persons to report any instances of child abuse. Remind us of what numbers are available if people want to get some help, mental health.
Mental health.
Yes.
All right. Well, I'm glad you asked. So for the Ministry let me start with UMATA first. That's operated by UNICEF, and you report. So that's 876-838-4897. And all you have to do is text the word support via WhatsApp, SMS, or you go to your report on Instagram or Facebook and text the word support, and you'll be connected immediately with a trained counselor. Now, there is also the Ministry of Health line. That is 888-1-LOVE, and it's 888-663-5683. So you can call that line, and I believe it's also 24/7. Now, the Safe Spot line is 888-SAFE-SPOT, and that's really 888-723-3377. So these are lines that persons can connect with to really get help that they need for their mental well-being.
Thank you so much, Ruth Lawrence, Vice Chair of the National Child Month Committee. Act now. Stand against child abuse and exploitation, Ricardo. Lots of work to be done.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much, yes.
We're going to take a break. Come back with more.
Enough power tool, big to small. Jackama figure dig the wall.
Upper Total Tools.
Weed whacker figure trim the lawn. We have everything a job demand.
Total Tools.
We rent them, sell them and fix them. Also give Total Tools a call. When I say home improvement, landscape construction, a Total Tools are your option. Home improvement, landscape construction, Total Tools are your option. Total Tools located at 102 Main Street, Ocho Rios, 34 Slive Road, Kingston. And lot C6 Jacksaw, St. Anne's Bay. Call us today.
Celebrate mom with the Jamaica Observer's For Moms Mother's Day promotion. Win big for mom with a $50,000 cash prize, appliances, gift certificates, movie passes, and more. Just spend $6,000 or more with your multi-link card. Grab the Daily Observer, complete the entry form, and submit it with your receipt. 4 lucky moms will win. Enter by May 16th and make this Mother's Day unforgettable. See the Jamaica Observer for more details. Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting, Gaming, and Lotteries Act.
Every day, we use our feet to walk, run, and take us to amazing places. But your feet can do something even more amazing. A simple step can change a life. Join Guardian Group's Shine 5K Night Run, formerly the Keep It Alive 5K, and make us try to support the Noel Holmes Hospital, the Bustamante Hospital for Children, and Project Star. Saturday, May 10 in Kingston and Saturday, May 24 in Montego Bay. New name, but same epic vibe. Register today at run2shineja.com or runningeventsja.com and see you at Shine 2025.
Welcome back, and you're with us nationwide at 5, and I think we're going into the nation's business.
Another segment.
Yeah, another segment. Oh, we're going. We're going into another segment. We have a Bloom event. It's a life coaching event. And
it was conceptualized by life coach Sharika Swaby to help people heal. It was designed to help individuals tap into inhaled pain and trauma that prevents them from moving forward and taking bold steps. Swaby says healing brings alignment, and alignment in turn opens people to purpose.
Purpose then creates a space for a vision, and vision provides a pathway to fulfillment. She says people are stuck not because they lack potential, but because they have inherited limiting beliefs, pain, and emotional patterns that ties them down. Bloom is set to take place tomorrow, Saturday, May 3, where there will be an activation and regulation of nervous systems and creating transformation. So Ms. Swaby joins us now to tell us about Bloom and
activation and regulation of nervous systems. Ms. Swaby?
Ms. Swaby, welcome to the program. Please,
what does that involve? How do you activate and regulate my nervous system?
Hi, good evening. So it involves movement. So there are some specific movements that you can do that really gets your body to wake up, so to speak. So it's touching certain places of the body, it's moving certain way. Persons who do yoga,
it sounds like yoga
would be familiar with some of what the activities that we will be doing will include. But the nervous system is tied because of our fight and flight response and how our emotions work. The nervous system is tied to what we feel and how we store our emotions.
And why?
So the aim.
Sorry, finish your thought. I'm sorry. Finish your thought.
Right. So the aim of the nervous system activation is to help us to root up some of those old patterns, old traumas, old belief systems, so that we can now start to replace that with something positive, something to make us thrive and expand and be the best version of ourselves, essentially.
Why the name Bloom?
Right. So the name Bloom. Have you ever seen a healthy bed of roses or a healthy roses plant or any blooming flowers for that matter? When it's really healthy and it's thriving and you wake up in the morning and you go out and you see it and it opens up to the sunshine and it's really beautiful, it's in all its glory. So the bloom, the concept is that when we uproot those traumas, when we uproot those limiting beliefs, when we uproot those patterns, we can now bloom into our true potential, into our true identity, and we can conquer the world, essentially.
So then, what exactly is the event Bloom that you'll be hosting tomorrow? What type of event is it? Will there be, persons there helping individuals who participate? Tell us a little bit about the type of event that you're having tomorrow.
So, two things. So I had to postpone it from tomorrow because it wasn't subscribed. I guess I needed to do more marketing, but it's been pushed back to June. However, I will be facilitating. So I'll be the one doing the facilitating. So I'll be the one taking the persons through the activities that we'll be doing. We'll be doing journaling. We'll be writing letters and burning them and so on. Literally planting our future. So I will be the one facilitating that. So persons would come, they'll come with their yoga mat because we're going to do some relaxation techniques to help you. After we activate the nervous system, then we have to regulate it so that we can relax, we can get calm, can get peaceful, get to a place of clarity.
So there is touch and there is journaling and there is writing letters. We were taught in my day to write the letters and then tear them up and throw them in the garbage. So the burning is a similar activity to dispose of the letters.
Right. Burning is a way of... Fire generally represents when you burn something. If you burn a field, for example, then maybe a shower of rain comes and fresh things go.
It's a renewal process, yes.
It's a renewal process. So the concept is for you burn what's old, and then we go now and write other letters and plant the future that we want to create.
So in a lot of ways, and so someone listening on to the, what you're speaking about in terms of Bloom, and we just came out of a conversation about Child Month and, getting rid of abuse, old patterns and trauma. What you're talking about in Bloom sounds as if it's connected to us removing some of those old traumas or replacing them with new pathways, as you're saying, a pathway to alignment and getting healed. So in a lot of ways, how does that help individuals? People are listening, they're trying to sort of connect to it. How does it help individuals to move closer to what their true purpose is in life? Tell us that. What is yes.
Something that I learned is that we will hear all the time that we need to change our mindset, right? But what we really don't realize that changing the mindset is not just, I get up tomorrow, I'm going to change my mindset. Or somebody look at you and say, you should change your mindset. But it's really not that simple.
Yes.
Because our mindset, sometimes it is something that is passed down from your parents or your community that you grew up in. It's something that you were taught or something that you learned from the environment that you're in. So now it's like a part of your DNA.
Yes.
It's all you know. It's what you were brought up on. It's all that is there. You are not exposed to anything different. So, for example, someone who was shy, someone who is shy. The other day I made a short video about being shy, and I'm wondering, are you really shy? Were you born shy, or were you just shut down so much so that now that you shut yourself away because you're no longer confident that you sharing yourself, you expressing yourself will be accepted. And so as a way to protect yourself, you close off.
And so,
are you really angry?
Yes.
Are you really an angry person, or is it a defense mechanism so people don't think you are weak? So healing is figuring out, who am I really? Who am I really? Do I really enjoy partying, or am I trying to cover up something? Do I really like to drink? Do I want to be an abusive person? Or what is underneath that? So healing that will help you to figure out, who am I as a person?
So Ms. Swaby, what I hear you saying is that the process, healing is a process. It's not an event. So it's a process.
It's not an event.
It's a process.
It's a process.
Yes.
But what we'll be doing at Bloom is we'll be beginning that process.
Yes.
And then you will get the tools that you'll need to go home now and continue that process on your own.
So then persons who attend Bloom, who participate in Bloom, once you're holding the seminar, will be able to learn strategies, learn skills, and learn mechanisms to, for example, identify their triggers. Will you give them a lot of that kind of information, and also how to manage their processes going forward?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Definitely. We'll definitely be doing that. They'll get the tools. They'll learn how to identify those patterns, and they will learn to kind of self-coach themselves or do introspection regularly. So at the end of the day, one tip that you can use to figure out who you are is, at the end of the day, when you go home, you do a kind of a log of your day to say, okay, this happened, that happened. Why did that happen? How did I react to that? Was that the correct way to react to that? Did I get what I want based on the reaction that I gave? So you are looking into yourself, you're questioning yourself, you're figuring out who you are, what you're about, and where you want to go in the future. So the aim of Bloom then is to, let me use myself as an example. I do public speaking now. I used to be shy. I was afraid of the camera, and when I do take a photograph, I was never smiling. I looked like I was always upset. So one of the benefits that I got from my healing journey was figuring out that I wasn't really shy.
Yes.
I was just always shut down. I was always shut down as a child. I was always shamed. I was always called names. So to protect myself, I closed myself off. So it may not look like that for somebody else. It might be they were, say someone was molested. Hopefully I'm not triggering anyone. But say that happened, right? That person will either shut down, or they may become someone who, what's the word I'm looking for? Someone who walks around and be with a number of people. Promiscuous. They become promiscuous. So as a coping mechanism, that's what they do. But is that really who you are? You know, is it that it's something you're hiding behind? So what we're aiming to for at Bloom is to really to get you to tap into your true self, because a lot of people are living in so much pain that they don't even realize, because it's become normal for them. It's their normal. So when something is their normal, you don't realize that you're not living your best life, because this is how you grew up, this is all you see around you, and you have accepted it as normal.
Ms. Swaby, it sounds like you have a plan to impact on Jamaican society, people in Jamaica, in ways that would be positively impacting on, who we are as a people and some of the issues we face, Ricardo. We trust that the process and the progress of Bloom will blossom into fruit that carries us forward. And so you're planning the event now for some time in June. Where do people find information about Bloom and the work that you're doing and what will happen for the upcoming event? Tell us where to locate the information.
Okay, so if someone is interested, they can contact me via phone. My phone number is 876-446-1191. I'm also on Instagram at Align, that's ALIGN, with Sharika, SHAREKA, one word. And if they search me on Facebook or any other social media, I will come up as Sharika Swaby.
Sharika Swaby.
Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. And have a good weekend.
Thank you also. You too.
Thank you. And so that's Sharika Swaby, life coach. We have to bloom into our futures, Ricardo. Indeed.
16 minutes after 7, we're going to go for a quick break. And after the break, it will be time for your calls. The numbers, you know them well. 630-9371, 630-9372, 630-9373, 618-8255.
Every day, we use our feet to walk, run, and take us to amazing places. But your feet can do something even more amazing. A simple step can change a life. Join Guardian Group's Shine 5K Night Run, formerly the Keep It Alive 5K, and make us try to support the Noel Holmes Hospital, the Bustamante Hospital for Children, and Project Star. Saturday, May 10 in Kingston and Saturday, May 24 in Montego Bay. New name, but same epic vibe. Register today at run2shineja.com or runningeventsja.com and see you at Shine 2025.
Tune in to Nationwide 90 FM on Tuesday, May 6 from 2 to 4 p.m. for the live sectoral presentation by the Minister of Legal and Constitutional Affairs, the Honorable Marlene Malahu Ford. You can also view the presentation on Nationwide 90 FM's YouTube channel at Nationwide 90 FM Live 2. Tune in to Nationwide 90 FM Tuesday, May 6 from 2 to 4 p.m. It's the live sectoral presentation by Minister of Legal and Constitutional Affairs, the Honorable Marlene Malahu Ford. All this and more only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. This broadcast is brought to you by the Ministry of Legal and Constitutional Affairs.
Alric, you're up first. Good evening.
Welcome, yes. Hi, Alric. Good evening, yes.
Good evening, Professor. How you guys doing?
We're doing well, man. Doing well. Good, yes.
Ricardo.
Yes, sir.
I listened to you and Tyrone last Friday evening, and I sat and I chuckled. You guys were trying to do this. Do you remember what happened? The Christian thing Tyrone was saying the math didn't add up, and you were trying to. I didn't know you were a Catholic, Ricardo.
Yes, I am.
Okay. So I listened to you guys, and it was very enlightening.
But Alric, I wasn't here. You know, we're talking. What about what happened today? Yes.
Yes. Ricardo, and Prof. There's something that is bothering me since yesterday because I heard the former Minister of Education, Reverend Ronald Tweet, he came out and backed the teaching stuff that was passed in the Senate last week.
The Jamaica Teaching Council
but
bill.
wasn't he the person who had introduced it? I think he was the person who had introduced it at the beginning, or he was involved in it.
Yes, he was one of the ministers who tried to get it passed.
Yes, he was. Yes.
He was one of the persons who tried to get it passed.
Yes.
And he has not spoken anything for a long time. He has been silent. And then after these 9 opposition members came out now and said, boy, they weren't in agreement with a lot of the things that I was wondering if they weren't aware of all that what was going down. And then if they weren't in agreement with it, why did they go to the Senate and help to pass it, even though, although they made some amendments? And now Mr. Tweet is saying he doesn't think anything is wrong with it.
Well, I gather that he said that it should be allowed, at least persons should be allowed to ventilate their concerns. But yeah, he did say that as a part of it.
Yes, Prof. But why vote for it to pass in the Senate if you knew that a couple of days after you were going to have concerns and you were going to call a press conference? Why not just ventilate everything and make sure? Because I think they're still playing with education in this country, and I think some people just trying to politicize education. It's not doing well for the teachers or the students, and ultimately the country will suffer.
But we are in a very interesting timeline in our political life, so perhaps that is also impacting on what is going along with different things that are coming out of the government and the public administration. Yeah, so responses like that. Yeah, that's probably part of it.
The average Jamaican nowadays, you just can't push things down our throat like that again, Prof. Things have come, we have come a long way.
Yes.
So even if you are saying that it is now the silly season and political wise, they must still consider that people we're intelligent enough to read between the lines and to accept and to say, criticize, yes, vote against it, but do it intelligently and do it in a way that you don't just vote for something 2 days before and then 2 days after that you come and call a press conference and say we do agree with some of the things. Man, it doesn't look too good at all.
I hear you, Alric. I hear you.
All right. You guys have a good weekend. Ricardo?
Yes, sir.
Enjoy the weekend.
Take care of yourself, Alric. Yeah, man. Thank you indeed. J.E.
Good evening.
Good evening, J.E.
Good evening, Miss Hope and Ricardo.
Hello. Hi, J.E. Pleasant
Yes,
evening.
first and foremost, I wanted to call Tana this morning to wish her happy birthday.
Oh, yes.
To tell her that she born the best month on the calendar.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I have a burning issue a long time ago, but I couldn't get through to you guys. I heard Damian Crawford was saying that there are 2 lines at school. One line for the PATH program kids and another line. Let me explain to the public, and I hope they are listening. Yes, there are 2 lines at a school. They put the younger kids then in one line and the older one in the other. Because, children these are not taking care of the younger ones. So they put them in one line. They go first, and then the older student goes second in the line. I don't know what is happening to Damian Crawford. Why I'm up to talk things that is not so.
No, hold on.
Second thing.
Hold on. Before you go to the second thing, I'm not disputing that there may be schools that separate by age, but I think what the senator was saying, which is true, is that there are schools in this country who put PATH students in a separate line. So if you are on a PATH program, you are identified because you go into a different line to collect your lunch. And I think what the senator was saying was that is not not a program.
No, you're explaining to me, yes. Yeah. But it make it look as if then they would give in the PATH children them bread and butter, and the one that is paying for lunch, chicken and rice. That's all.
J.E., it's interesting that you're bringing this up, because I just recently actually did some investigative work on this PATH program. There are actually schools where the PATH students do get subpar lunches. That is a fact, and I think it's I know the government doesn't encourage that, and certainly the opposition doesn't encourage that, but it is something that happens. And what we hear from the principals is that they don't have enough. The budget is not enough.
The budget for the PATH program.
For the PATH program. And so they can't afford to give, for example, if it's rice and peas and chicken, they can't afford to give the same meal because of the allocation. I think it's something like $250 now per child. Right? Okay. So it is a real problem. It is definitely a real problem.
Yes, Mr. Brooks. Another issue I have. Margolin policy. The things that the opposition is rolling out now, what they're going to do if they become the next government. Those things is in place already, I was listening to the program today, but I sort of fall asleep, so I don't want to talk. I only catch a little part where Margolin says he's going to sit with some smear test be done to patients and some other thing, but it's policy that they have. Those things are happening already, Miss Hope and Mr. Brooks. Those things are happening, the policies that they are rolling out. Those things are happening already. So they definitely don't have no policy. You have to wheel and come again and get something fresh and new what they're going to do if they form the next government.
Right.
Because all the things that they are talking, it's already been in place in Jamaica. It's already been done.
Yeah. Well, if that is indeed the case, what the government needs to do is make sure that they communicate clearly that these things are in train. Yeah?
Look here, they're just in denial.
These things
are in place.
Who is in denial?
The PNP is in their denial, yes.
Yeah.
Mr. Alfred Dawes now is a person that I know personal. I spoke with him. He usually sit because there's a hospital who call in Nika. They know me by the man, so who. He's a hypocrite because he was working at a theater at a hospital that I work also. I won't say what field I was working at hospital. And there was a bathroom up at the theater that he always said he doesn't want to walk down that step to go in the theater because his tent is killing him. He walks around. The other day I happened to go to that hospital and I was writing in a condiments book. And I couldn't believe that the time it was there because when I went in there I could drink water. So when he's going to criticize hospital, he was at that hospital and see the condition there.
Mm.
You understand? But, you know, it's politics. So you have to find things.
Well,
he knows the condition at that particular hospital
So
because he works there.
Right. So what you need to do is make sure that you're paying attention and you are tuned in to the issues so that when you are called upon to vote, you make a wise choice.
All right, J.E., that's the best you can do at the annual, and also speak out and advocate.
Right.
Speak out.
Yeah, very important.
Sorry, I couldn't get you opt-in. So when they're coming with their lies.
Yes.
And they deny and their propaganda. To tell them to back up and explain and tell the public and Jamaica what is happening, Jamaicans what is happening.
All right, Jay, we're giving someone else a chance. Thank you so much indeed. Carl,
good
yes,
evening.
good evening, Carl.
Good evening, Miss Hope. Good evening, Ricardo.
Good evening.
Yes.
Yeah, me have 3 little something, but me are going to move fast on them. Did you see any clip from out of Mr. Scott Spanish Town last night when the rain fall?
No.
The condition.
I think I glimpsed something on Instagram.
Oh, no, I didn't
I glimpsed something somewhere this today, yes.
Ricardo, mostly I focus on in Plaza where my bill now, you know. I'm trying to social media.
Ricardo, you're building plaza. Them spreading propaganda.
Carl is a propaganda.
Yeah, propaganda. Carl, so make the point about it. What happened? Yes.
Okay, yeah, the whole place flooded yesterday evening. And now
where in Spanish Town?
Yes, man. Now, man, Scott, I run from this. I will tell people I St. Elizabeth. How I'm going to turn down there in a first class. Anyhow, you know, I could place a Spanish show and can't fix. Anyhow, we'll leave that. I want to get to Colin Campbell, then I come to Philip Paul, and then I come to the man when I have no age paper from the country.
Quick and fast, yes.
Colin Campbell, I tell you the other day, a couple months ago, that my name spelled with K, not C, and you backed off. You found that you didn't come back with anything concerning me. And I asked you a question, Colin Campbell, and you don't answer it up till now.
Where did you ask him the question?
Right for Nationwide here.
Oh.
Okay.
Chafigura came here and tell we say, them paid $31 million for a contract. And it end up in our account mark CCC caretaker Colin Campbell. And I ask you to explain to the country how did that reach to your account? How did you say it a gift? Chafigura say it's for the contract to lift the aisle. Up till today that not clear up Colin Campbell. Backed off. Go behind yourself, behind some my container, then down a wharf. Hide yourself. All time people always say, you broke coconut in a foot safe. No shame. Anyhow, want to deal with Philip Powell now.
Before you go on, just to be clear, that no court of law, no tribunal has found any impropriety.
And I agree with you.
Yes, I'm just making it very clear. Any impropriety on Mr. Campbell's. Yeah, I'm just making it. I am just making it clear. I'm just Carl. Allow me, please.
Okay.
No court of law or tribunal has found any impropriety on Mr. Campbell's part.
Yeah.
What's the next point?
The next point, Carl.
What's the next point?
All right. Philip Paul have no credibility to be talking about JPS today. And I heard him talking about the government must invite him to a table. What Philip Paul will take the Jamaica Labour Party for? What would you invite in Philip Paul? Philip Paul will government with him sell out JPS to a company that was bankrupt. And within, 3 or 4 years, the company could have paid off his debt and sell back JPS to the government of Jamaica for more than what they bought it for. So what would you invite Philip Paul to say now? Philip Paul will give a license to JPS that if we have a natural disaster, the Jamaica people responsible for JPS light post So what would you invite a man like that on a table with Darrell Vaz to say? Tell me.
All right, Carl with a key.
No,
Mm-hmm.
final one.
Oh, you have
Final
another one. All right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The British citizen who doesn't have an age paper from the country.
Carl, Mr.
Went to
Golding is not a British citizen. Please stop
Ricardo.
saying that.
All right, Golding.
Carl with a
Went-
key. Mm-hmm.
With a K. Golding went to the public hospital since week. I think it was Tuesday. And him said that under the Jamaica Labour Party government, Jamaica is now full with disease and it need a PMP government to clean it up. I want to ask anybody who is listening tonight to tell me, since we have coronavirus come as a disease in Jamaica, where we have another breakout.
All right, Carl. Questions that need to be answered.
Omalo, good
We're
evening.
gonna bring Omalo on. But before we talk to Omalo, I want to big up Scorpion and Sharon Bliss from the YouTube. Yeah, Scorpion has been greeting me, and Sharon was talking about some of her experiences with Mama Lick and Mama I during the so just bigging them up. But yes, Omalo, good evening, Omalo.
Yeah, good evening, Professor O. Good evening, Ricardo.
Hello, my friend. How are you?
Good evening.
It is such a pleasure to be watching Tana and Ricardo and all these young folks growing up to catch up Cliff Hughes on the radio station.
True.
In age.
No bother with it.
In age? No, take it back.
No bother with it.
In age.
More in age.
No, Omalo, don't do that.
No, they are coming up. They are getting.
But you're saying age.
Cliff are almost 100.
Don't do that now. I'm defending Cliff. No.
Almost 100.
Omalo,
You know,
happy birthday, Tona. I wish you happy birthday on
Bugs,
Instagram.
the other day I reminded
No.
Cliff that he's as old as Jamaica.
Don't do that.
Jamaica. That old.
He's on. No, he's old. That's not old. Omalo, why you do that?
You know how long Jamaica exists?
you know, I was listening to the lady speaking about Child's Month.
Yes.
And it makes me think and wonder if a manual child parenting guide coming from a central place is the best method for families to deal with the different personalities in their home.
You know that many parents go online and buy books that give them at least some general tips. It can't be specific because everybody's situation is different. We have different countries, we have different groups of people inside the country from different backgrounds. But you have some general books that try to help people to at least navigate. And, because children do certain things, they develop at a different pace, they do these things. So you have books, but I think for Jamaica, I can't remember. Ricardo, have we ever tried to do anything for us? Because it's difficult, I'm a parent and I was a teenage mother. My mother was helpful, and so that was one of the things that was important for me. But being a parent, you kind of just drop into it most of the time, even when you plan for having a child.
And that is why I think we should more teach parents to understand the personality of their kids and deal with that rather than try to give them this central manual instruction as to deal with a kid from maybe in a different circumstance from a kid that is going through a different circumstance.
Yes, but that there are some principles that are general that you could probably have, but then you could spin off. Yes. So
I want to ask this question. Which I said I really want to ask this question, and I want to make it where Jamaicans start focusing. This coming election is coming, and I think we should really focus on the policies that are out there and the institutions that serve Jamaica people. Are these institutions serving Jamaica people better than they used to serve Jamaica people 9 years ago? This is a question we have to ask ourselves now. And it is evident to me that the institutions are serving Jamaica far better than they ever served the Jamaican citizens.
Like which ones? Like which ones? Give me some, because tell us something. Give us an example or two.
I want to talk about our beautiful police force. Oh my God! What can we talk about more than our beautiful police force? and the way they are conducting themselves and the way they are dealing with citizens and the way they are putting citizens first in fighting crime and giving citizens the opportunity not to feel like they're in Haiti, where they could walk around and conduct and knowing that they're taking back the space and giving it to them. Are we not so lucky to have a police force that stand between us and all the guns that were coming here through the guns for drugs trade and all these type of stuff? Aren't we see how much guns they are taking from the war? How these people are standing between the guns and us Jamaicans who want to live in a peaceful society?
They're standing out. I see somebody in the chat saying PICA is also doing well, but the Jamaica Constabulary Force has been doing a lot of work, and there's a lot of transformation going on. A lot of things have been put in place and measures.
We should be asking ourselves,
a lot.
Is the tax department, the institutions that are serving Jamaica, how are they responding to our needs and services? And there is no doubt.
True.
If you go to the NHT, it is better. If you go to PAF, it is better. There is no institution in Jamaica that people can say is not serving them better in this time than 9 years ago. None.
The tax office is doing a lot of work. Inland Revenue Department, the customs people, that thing has been transformed in terms of how you get to cost. There's a lot of things have changed. Technology has been added.
Our public sector has changed.
Sharon,
public sector has changed.
Sharon, they said that the police officers look nice in them uniform. Sharon?
We have to, these are the things that we Jamaicans have to ask ourselves, because we've asked government to serve us, and through the institution is by which the government serve us. So we must ask the questions, are these institutions serving us better? When in the history of Jamaica, none of them ever say a new city bill. A new town, not a city, a new town.
But StrongLink, I don't walk into anything in a StrongLink. I give credit where credit is due, and I have always bigged up the tax office, for example, because let me tell you, the last time I renewed the license for my vehicle, I did everything online and go up there and just collect something. You know what I mean? The last time I renewed my driver's license, you did everything online, and you just go up there and I didn't send in a picture, so I went and just took the picture. Exactly. We have to big up and big it up.
Almost everything online.
Exactly. Exactly.
So this is what, Professor O. And this is not just leave to the people of Jamaica asking these questions. Media is supposed to help guide the people along the way of understanding what is it that they are up against.
So,
and I wish the media should push their foot out in front and ask the question, not directing the question to get an answer, but ask the question, are the institutions that's supposed to serve you serving you better at this time than 9 years ago?
All right, we're leaving it there, Marlo. Thanks for that. And of course, yes, indeed. Who we have? Richie. Hi, Richie. Good evening.
Good evening, Prof.
Yes.
Marsh Ricardo, good evening.
Good evening.
I continue to keep telling Carl that Mark Gordon renounced it, but for me, I love facts. I'm going to keep hearing that he renounced it, but what proof do you have to say he renounced it? What you have in writing?
Mr. Golding showed the documents of his renunciation. Mr. Golding has responded to media queries of the renunciation, regarding the renunciation. The fact that you want him to show it in the parliament and he has not showed it in the parliament does not mean he has not renounced it, Richard.
No, that's not what that's saying, Ricardo.
All right, I answered your question. What's the next point? What's the next point?
I'm saying to you, I want to hear what the renunciation is.
What do you mean you want to hear what it is? What does that mean?
What in writing?
He had shown the document.
So what do you want him to do? You want him to release the documents?
Yes.
Yes.
But didn't he show the document?
He did.
I remember
okay.
that. Yes.
All right. Okay, Richie. What else on your mind?
What else? Unless I can hear, get the writing say renounce it. Because I talked to Tyrone the other day about it, and you will try and read it to me. He said he renounced it last year, September. And if he renounced it last year, September, why even at the time when his budget, he did not. I'm sure. Yes,
I don't know that it disqualifies it though. I don't know that the fact that he didn't show it at the budget disqualifies it.
Is there a call for it to be shown?
But
by
I was
people?
asking the recorder, listen to me. If I renounce it from last year, September, we.
Richie?
We lost him?
I think we lost him.
Sorry
but
about that, Richie.
I think I remember seeing, I remember there was some media conversation somewhere where he actually showed, I think, the document. I can't recall.
He was on an online platform.
He was on, right. He was on, and I remember he showed a document, but yes. Anthony, good evening, Dan. Anthony, yes.
Yeah, Anthony. Yes, Anthony. Ricardo.
Hey.
And the young lady in the studio. Yeah.
Thank you for stay over there with it, Stay over there, Ricardo. Stay over there.
Right.
Thank you, Anthony. Stay over there, Ricardo. Yes.
But on everything is going to show up on social media, and everybody that's on social media will see everything. You know, if you renounce in citizenship by England, then why not just come out and just put it on TVJ, CBM? You have more than 40 radio stations in the country. Why not come out and deal with it? Come put make everybody know.
I thought I suppose the media houses that you list, the Gleaner reported that they had seen the documents, but I suppose you want the others. Okay, all right, fair.
He wants broader.
Yeah, fair. That's fair.
I don't hear about him more than hear people that call him on the radio and say, boy, them not see it.
Yeah, okay. So you want him to public. You want him to release the documents publicly.
Yes.
All right.
With some of the some of the information have to be redacted because again it's sensitive information. So.
No, but when Darrell Vaz gets seen, he show it up. You know, he get it, you know, hide. There's nothing to hide.
All right, fair. That's fair.
Listen, no. That time I want to ask the question about all these split. Mr. Golden, this present one me attack.
Just a second, Anthony. Dana, Maxine Dunkley, you're sailing very close to the sun. You hear, Maxine? Very close to the sun. So keep it up. Dana, just keep your finger over the block button. Continue, Anthony.
Okay. All right, yeah, continue. Yeah, Mr. Mark Golden and Peter Bunting, why them lock down them business? Where they operate?
Did they lock it down or did Scotia buy it? Where you go?
I think it was sold.
Why they sell it? Why they sell it? Because if you have a business that is so profitable, why selling it?
Well, a lot of people who go into those kind of businesses, they raise it to a certain level and then they sell the business, and not just financial businesses, but a lot of other kind of businesses. Businessmen do that.
Yeah.
They do that. They build the business up and then they sell it.
If they can manage them businessmen, or they can manage the country, or they don't manage my country, you know.
But I know that it wasn't a matter of them not being able to manage the business as far as I know. Right, but I'm saying no. But the fact that they sell a business doesn't mean the business was in poor health.
Exactly.
Yeah, that doesn't
a lot of those types of businesses, people build them up and sell it.
Myself, it's never business they operate and they give me good profit. Why would I throw it out, sell it?
Because a lot of business people do that, not just only with financial business. They do that with. I've seen them do that with like gas station businesses. A lot of franchises. They build it up, and not just only in Jamaica but all over the world, and then they sell it at a profit. Rake in whatever they're raking in and either move on to another type of business, or they go off in a kind of retirement and take up something else. That's what they do. It's normal.
I just not know how find out.
All right,
Anthony. Take care. Have a good weekend. Yes.
Yeah, and just to be clear, I'm not like asking any of you on YouTube to like me. Doesn't matter to me one way or the other. But what you will not do is sit there and abuse any of us in any of these chairs. Certainly, and I've told you guys before, not while I'm sitting here and not while I can block you all. Who is next? Faithful.
Hi, Faithful. Good evening. Welcome to the program.
Good evening, Mrs. Pope, and good evening, Mr. Ricardo.
Professor.
You can say, leave him.
Oh, Professor, and Mrs. Pope, I know my apology. Anyway, what is the great value if I'm going to say he knows his citizenship, and what is all about? But the man say he knows, and he speak up, and cabinet say.
Look, Faithful. Yeah, there is a no. Hold on.
Let me
be.
Same thing every night.
No, let me be clear. Hold on. No, I understand that there are people in the country who legitimately believe dual citizens should not be prime minister.
I believe that too.
Right, yeah. I think that's a legitimate principled position. So I don't have a problem with the question of whether dual citizens should be prime minister. But what I do have a problem with is the constant suggestion that, he lied and, I don't know. I suppose he should he can release it and then he would probably put it to bed.
But I don't see the value. I believe it. I believe if you're going to argue about thing, you should argue about the value.
Mm-hmm.
If he say he release and he doesn't, and if he say he renounce and he doesn't renounce, is that going to help them to get vote? What is the value?
Well, I think some people. Hold on, Faithful. No. I think some people believe it is a political issue that could assist. I don't know what they base that on, but I suspect too that Mr. Golding, because of his renunciation, did have some reason to believe that it was hurting him politically. Because if you recall, he said that he would.
Call it a value, but after a while it lost its savior.
Okay.
After a while it lost its value.
Oh, okay. I get you.
Even that same thing like that. It don't sound good to me anyway. But the education minister, I think I have a lot of time for her.
Dr. Dana Morris
Dixon.
Right.
Yes, I agree.
But I think she's falling prey to what all education ministers fall prey to.
Which is what?
What's that?
They have to run and bow to the teacher associations.
I don't get that from her. I haven't gotten that from her.
But if the deal is this, that the teaching council bill that she brought to the Senate, and they have gone into how many, more than 20 years?
Yes.
And both opposition, the same JTA, and I can't do Miss Dixon, the churches, the university, and how to make input.
Right.
And she went to the Senate and said, well, it's long in coming, the opposition agreed it. And then after a while, the man come and say, boy, blah, blah, blah. And then get some of the other person. And even Mr. Ronnie I have to lift my heart to him. I like the Stanley Taker. He said that if anything that could come together and let it go through, if we continue like that, if we continue like this other country, we will never get nothing done.
I agree. And you see, one of the things I've been thinking to myself, to Faithful, what is the harm in passing the bill into law, and then over time you amend it and perfect it? Right. I feel like we're trying to achieve perfection.
I don't think it's just about perfection, Ricardo.
But let me say why I say that. Let me say why I say that, Prof. Because over 20 years, the problems have remained, the concerns have remained largely the same. All the stakeholders have had the chance to weigh in, and as I understand from Reverend Thwaites, and I think Maxine Henry Wilson as well had talked about it, a tweaking. And each time we've gotten to the point of passage, we've shelved it because we say, okay, we need more consultation. My concern is, at what point do we say we have consulted enough such that we can pass a law? And that's not an end in and of itself, Well, not to me. It can be perfected going along. But if we constantly wait for the perfect bill, I don't know, it's been 20 years.
And the challenge is that some of the things that are current today, if we delay again, those will be again.
We'll have new problems in 5 years. And new problems in 10 years. So I don't know. That's why
we should at least pass it into law and begin a process where we can transform the sector.
What the JTA should ask for, and I know they have it, for example, for the Integrity Commission Act, that after a period of time passes, the Parliament must review it.
So maybe a 5-year, 10-year period.
Yeah, you could say after 3 years. I'll even go 3.
5.
3, no, just because, people might say a long time. 3 years, you must review it again. And so you constantly perfect it. Because that's a powerful point, Prof.
Yes.
Education is changing so rapidly. That if you delay, in 2 years, I'm a completely different
different environment that we are going to be operating in, and it is only for the benefit, because I've looked through a lot of what is in that proposed bill, and it has a lot of beneficial aspects for the sector and for the people involved in the sector.
What I worry about, Prof, is that we have become so enamored with process that we no longer care about results.
The results, exactly.
Yeah, so we labor the process and we don't get no results. And I feel like it's time we stop that, man.
For the education minister to say she's going to delay it again, delay for how long and for what? Because I tell you now, particularly in election year, the opposition, Damon Cropland, they're not going to agree with it. Because if it's a point in a panel, you say it has been long coming.
Yes.
And now it come, and in the Senate, and it passes in Senate, and a couple of days after, Damon Cropland change their mind. Yeah. And it's the same thing with the Constitution, when Mr. Golden top in the Parliament and so on, say, let us move ahead with that we agree on.
Yeah.
And after we didn't change in mind, with Michael Phillips, when he sit down in the transportation sector and they agree the thing, and then come out back and Margot said, no, you can't agree with
we can't. There's a perception that is forming that the opposition uses its support in a sort of to sort of get leverage sometimes, and it does raise a question as to whether these are genuine principled objections or they're it's just for the convenience. As Prof said, we're in a season now.
I fear that because we're in the silly season, a lot of good moves are being delayed.
They're not going to get nothing done.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a real problem, Faithful. I agree with you on that.
Yes.
Come on, man.
All right, Faithful. We have yes, indeed. But the medication minister should really be moving ahead with alacrity on that bit.
But you see, one of the things, Prof, it's so difficult to see because you move ahead and then people accuse you of being an autocrat.
I know.
Or not consulting enough.
But there has been a lot of consultation, and as someone who is working in education at the tertiary level and also deals with people at the secondary, it's something that we need to have in place because when people migrate and go work at people's country, they are subject to something similar.
Again,
that is the thing that
a brilliant point.
Yes.
Because when we go overseas, we do not have a problem with regulation.
Whatever it is.
We fall in line.
Oh, yes.
It's only in Jamaica we make it seem that it's a free-for-all.
They like to say, the point that Ian is holding, but they will like to say in Jamaica, well, not now up here, and with talks is not really. And they go to other countries and they'll work with whatever they there. Point. So we need to make sure we fix up our Jamaica house so it look pretty. Our Jamaica, the house that we live in, should get to the point where we have structures in place that we can look through. So
ask yourself if you're okay with going abroad and being regulated.
Yes.
What's the problem with being regulated in Jamaica? Ask yourself that.
Ian, good evening.
Good evening, Recorder. I don't remember your name.
Prof Hope.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, Ian.
Good evening. I have a burning question. The time is going. Recorder.
Yes?
Tell me something. When Mr. Golden presents in dual citizenship and the year, that depends. Social media. Did you see that? Can you see that paper whatever and they come with and the program?
When he reveal it online?
Right. Yeah.
I don't watch that show, so I don't.
Right. Then how could you tell him, Carl, that he
No. My position was based on the Gleaners reporting. Yeah, my position was based on the Gleaners reporting, not the online show.
I mean, majority of Jamaican people haven't seen that.
And I'm saying I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with the call for him to release it and, as Prof said, redact the sensitive information or data. I don't have a problem with that call.
If it is becoming a question that people are raising again, it's okay.
Honestly, I think he really have something hiding. Honestly, God, I think he have something hiding. And he need to come and show the people them the real thing that he is a Jamaican.
All right. Yeah, man.
Yeah, okay. I would appreciate if he do that.
All right, here you Ian.
All right, Ian.
All right.
I think that's fair.
Yes.
Can I take one more? All right.
All right.
Yeah, I think
that's fair, people. Yeah. And I suppose
and it puts it to bed. I
think Mr. Golden should at least just, clear the matter up. But the Gleaner did report on it, and some of us watch these various platforms. So listen to me, and let me say, Pink Wall, Dear Dream, Quest Times, West India Made. I'm calling them out because there's a lot of information
they're not
there.
paying us doing a prof.
No, but I'm not saying I'm not advertising them. I'm saying we watch some of these because a lot of information cuts across these different networks. So if you pay attention to some of them, you're going to see and hear things that may not make it into some of the traditional media houses in that way. But the Gleaner did report on it.
As an academic matter, you're an academic. As an academic matter, that's what I'm very interested in. New media and the rise of so-called citizen journalists. So if I have some time, I plan to devote some study to it because I am interested.
It's something that is important because I know and I think because people are concerned sometimes that the new media, the vloggers and some of these networks are not bound by some of the ethical and professional principles, but there's a lot of information that is passed, so that's something to look at. But I believe I've been hearing people, so many people have called talking about this issue, Mr. Golden. I think he should at the very least clear it up so it doesn't become a continuous, clarion call.
I thought it was a missed opportunity in the parliament. He ended with the, what was it, the national song that he sang there, no? Maybe it would have been more effective if he had
held it up,
held the document up in parliament.
Because
the song was
Jamaican fully,
pledging loyalty to Jamaica. That I thought as a communication matter, it would have been effective. I could see, for example, the papers the next day would have been the money shot.
Yes,
but he didn't.
I hope there are other opportunities, but that would have been the spotlight opportunity. But public relations, marketing for the campaign going forward.
Time will tell.
Definitely.
Dana Davey, thank you so much. Appreciate you. Oh, by the way, Dana, I called Bugs Andrew earlier and he was shocked.
Isn't that his right name?
Thank you. Thank you, prof.
Babe, and the parents listening in,
was
Andrew
shocked.
Doesn't want to use his right name.
Shocked that I called him Andrew. So
I will
not certain people. Me are certain people.
Bugs.
Oh, I see.
Right.
Okay.
All
Andrew.
Right. But let me say I'm wishing Tana happy birthday because the day not done.
Happy birthday, TT.
And May is a good month, but the best month is the one that's
July.
coming up. No.
It's July.
Next month.
It's July.
Guys, then it's not August.
It's July.
It's all, but next month is the best
June?
month. Yeah, man. Especially the mad people. That are June people.
The hardest heartbreak me ever get.
It was a June Gemini.
Was from a June star.
A June Gemini, right?
I think it was Cancer actually.
Oh, that's late June. That's not a hard heartbreak. You
no,
gotta get a Gemini
nearly dead,
heart.
bro. Nearly dead.
All right.
Bugs, thank you.
No. Big up Sharon Bless. Yeah, we had big up party, Sharon. And Sharon, you turn out with him though you had to hide under the bed and all them someday. Yeah. Sharon,
Lifelong Canada Centers, you will live. And if you don't live, you get over it.
Leonard June is still the best month. Leonard Seville, we know that. So birth says September. Late June, that means you're a Cancer. Gemini rule.
No. Marigold said it's July.
A lot of people say in July.
July.
We have to come out here. You see, but let me say, June people don't lie, Samuel. Go away. We are good people.
Good evening, Marigold. Good evening, Althea. All the July people, love you.
All right, take care of yourselves. And God bless up yourselves. April, May, June, July, everybody from January to December. Have a good weekend, yes.
The Live Good initiative is aimed at promoting health